Hello. Well, I'm looking kind of rough. I'm looking kind of unkempt. Hey everyone, welcome to the late Mild Fuzz TV live stream, where we will be speaking about nonsense for a couple hours or something. I don't know. No, how long this will be. If I end up being tired like I was last time, maybe a little shorter. I don't feel that way yet. I'm feeling okay right now, but we'll see. See where the night takes us. All the cats have calmed down, I think, although Garrus is still kind of prilling around. There he does. Rare Thursday show. Yeah, I guess. Did I usually do Thursdays? Nah, I guess it's been Friday the last couple of times. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Renegade. Sorry to hear that indeed. But yeah, Rare Thursday show. No particular reason. Other than I was up and it felt like the thing to do, basically. Felt the thing to do. It's a little bit later than I normally start this though. Might have lost a few audience members by being this late. This is strictly sort of West Coast audience right now, I think. Or at least until, well, I don't know, maybe a couple of late East Coasters up. You missed Monday due to the move? No worries, Bob. Not to worry. Ba, 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 ba. So yes, Mild Fuzz TV Live, Nights edition. If I can keep my thought process going. How am I? Well, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Been a weird long day, but other than that. And welcome, Cindy, to the stream. Rude boy, I never saw the trailer for The Boys, so when I saw the episode 3, the one where the characters sat, I was like, holy shit. Yes. Yes. We reviewed episode 4 tonight, that'll be up tomorrow. And there's a speech that someone gives that was in the second trailer. This is a really good speech. I was happy to see it again. What's funny though is Connor never saw that trailer, so he was, when he brought the speech up, he was like, oh, this is great. And I was, this is fantastic. And I was like, well, I already kind of saw it in the trailer, so I kind of knew it was coming. But yes, welcome all to the late stream. We talk about nonsense on this one. This one's less like, the Monday one has like a more of a structure, kind of. There's topics that we cover. This one, not so much. This one's a bit more of a free for all. That said, with the announcement that we stopped television from the multiverse, it could be the late stream that maybe gets some discussion on some of that stuff. Assuming I have watched the episodes for the week at that point, which may not always be the case now that I don't have a deadline for it. That said, since I don't have to review them anymore, I don't necessarily have to watch them as properly as I did before. To help me get through some bad episodes of The Flash, I could play some video games or something whilst I'm watching it. Maybe speed it up a little bit, I don't know. So many options. But yes. Welcome. I got nothing to tell you, actually. I mean, we could talk a bit more about why we decided to cancel television for the multiverse if you want, if anyone has any questions about that. Nothing is super secretive or anything on that front. I'm sort of with the shows you guys watch, been binging later shows. That's okay. Has been some heavy ones recently, for sure. Handmaid's Tale is always a laugh a riot. But the Boys is an interesting one because the Boys can be very light in places, but then be extremely serious in others. It's actually really good at juggling that, which is part of why it's good. Right, good. You're guessing it got tiring. It did a bit. I mean, it was more of a recording schedule thing where, we'd have like maybe 2 Netflix shows or Netflix and an Amazon show, and we'd be trying to get through them as quickly as we can. And we'd have this day in the week where we couldn't do anything else because the television for the multiverse would just, between watching the shows, assuming that we hadn't watched, or even if we had watched a couple in advance, we still have like sometimes up to 6 shows. So at best, we'd have 3 shows to watch maybe on a Thursday, and then record in the evening. And it would mean that nothing else would get watched or recorded that day. Was typically the system. And because of that, it meant that there was just this pit in the middle of the week where we couldn't do anything else. Because typically what will happen is that we'll do the Netflix show, say, with the other thing on any given night. So let's say there's a weekly show we're doing, so we'll do that plus the Netflix show. And then the next day, maybe it'll be, I don't know, an influx in the Netflix show. And then the next day, it'll be another TV show we're doing plus the Netflix show. What Thursday was just always written off for doing other content, and it was really rough. And the amount of people watching television for the multiverse wasn't necessarily that great, especially for the investment that it required, because it required so much time to watch the shows and then record the thing. Whereas all the other stuff we do, we watch one show, put out one video on that episode, quicker to watch, quicker to record, and would get better traction. So I wondered how you guys were keeping up with so much stuff. I mean, we do a pretty good job most of the time. It's just TV Multiverse was really tough to schedule and keep up with. And right now, it's not even at the most number of shows that it typically is. But it was rough, and I think part of it is because we really didn't like Swamp Thing that much, so it was getting really tough to motivate ourselves to do it. I mean, that week where we had to watch 2 episodes in the one week was a nightmare. Oh, hey, Margaret, welcome to the stream. You're an episode behind on Handmaid's Tale. We just reviewed this week's today, actually, so that'll be up tomorrow at some point. You finally got to 3%, but I didn't see a review yet. Yep, it's up. First one. So, hopefully we'll get another one out at the same time next week. We'll try and keep it as consistent as we can, as well as juggling Tool to Die Young. We've both watched the next Tool to Die Young before anyone asks. We've not recorded it yet, but we've both watched the episode, and it should be recorded tomorrow night, is the plan. Are you going to review Crisis? I don't know if there'll be a review of Crisis or if it'll just be me on the stream talking about it. Maybe I'll do some sort of solo review. But given that there'll be no reviews building up to it with all the other shows, I don't know. It depends. Depends how much I have to say. Depends. Because there's definitely potential there to do it for the clicks, if you will. Because, if you do one after each episode, typically, the streams... the streams can make a lot of money if there's super chats and stuff like that, but from the advert at the start, there's not, the streams don't do much versus the actual videos. So there's that incentive to do like an actual review of the Crisis stuff, but for neatness sake, it might not be worth it. But I don't know. I'll see how I feel come December. Alright, welcome to the stream. Scott Abdel was on a podcast recently talking about Flash Forward. Basically, Wally will be multiverse hopping each issue, and he strongly implies a reunion with Jay and Irie in the story. Yeah, but it's Scott Abdel writing it, so... I can't get excited, because Scott Abdel's writing it. Rude Boy, what number of Tool to Die Young are you guys up to? We just watched episode 7, and that's what we'll be recording hopefully tomorrow. We've got that to record tomorrow, along with TV news and Dear White People. Dear White People is back tomorrow. So Dear White People's back tomorrow. So yeah, Netflix throw more stuff at us. William, given how much you enjoyed Elseworld and we're looking forward to Crisis, it would be a shame not to hear your thoughts. You'll definitely hear my thoughts in some way or other. I'm not sure, again, which way it'll be yet, but you'll definitely hear what I think of Crisis. For sure. Connor, probably not. Connor's schedule basically means that if he's not doing it for the podcast, is that he's immediately going to fall behind in all the shows. And Connor, being the way he is, will not watch the crossover if he's not been watching the shows. Which I understand. I sympathize with that. Admittedly, at this point, like, honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that it was the final season of Arrow and it was like clearly going to build into Crisis heavily, given how the last season ended, I might not even bother watching Arrow anymore and just accept there's a couple of shows I won't see before Crisis. But it's the final season. It's only 10 episodes and it's building into Crisis, so I'll probably still watch it. Flash is an interesting one though. I could probably just not watch Flash. I'd probably quite happy with myself about that. I'm typically very hopeful with Supergirl, so I'll probably still keep watching that. Definitely be watching Legends. I would not worry about that. We will still be doing reviews of Doom Patrol when it comes back. We'll just be doing that as like we do our TV reviews. And I guess that'll be true for any other shows that pop up. You know, we'll try the new ones. We'll try Stargirl as an individual review. And if we like it, then great. And if not, then, you know, then we won't review it. It'll be that simple. The cats are all asleep. Oh, actually, that's not entirely true. Firefly's asleep. The other two are just lying down. But they'll be asleep soon enough. But yeah. So yeah, we didn't make the decision lately. It was kind of on Monday, Tuesday. We kind of sat down and started talking about it and what we could do to let it not be such a strangulation on the schedule. Jimmy Olsen Blue is welcome to the stream. Isn't it like 5 a.m. in Scotland? It is 4 a.m. in Scotland as it happens, which is pretty close. You're not far off. But I'm a night owl, so it's fine. I am for some reason kind of on a Pacific sleeping schedule, and I don't know why. It's just kind of the way I am. But hey, so, so don't worry. There will be at least my thoughts on the DC shows, especially Crisis, going forward, because Hollywood's on the West Coast. Maybe, maybe that's what it is. I think I've just always liked staying up late, and I like the quiet of nighttime. I think that's what it is. And watching movies in the dark is way better. It just happens to coincide with West Coast time. Connor seems to love Legends, so I hope he continues to at least watch that one. I imagine he probably will. I don't know if he'll watch it week to week when it's on, but I can see that being the sort of thing that he binges when he's got a week off. He'll be like, okay, I've got like a season of Legends to binge through. I can see him doing that. Watched the Alita review. Your reaction was really funny. Oh, when Tara revealed she kind of liked it, and I was expecting her to say she hated it. Yeah, that was pretty amusing. That was one of those things where when I was editing it and I was seeing some of the moments again, I started laughing during that. Although the Captive State one, which is next, which is up in Patreon now, is much funnier. So I'll give you a teaser. Let me just say that if we because we don't give our reviews subheadings. You know, sometimes like websites will give like a review a title. For for a movie or whatever, they'll say, "Oh, Captive State review," and then there'll be like a title, which they've called the review. If we did that for ours, the title of the Captive State review would be "The Love of a Good Butthole." That would be the name. I'm not going to say any more. You're just going to have to let your mind ponder for a week. You can look forward to it. But no, happy to see so many of you here at like this ridiculous time. Oh, ridiculous in my time zone, at the very least. Yeah. Do you know, I've been in a funk with games. I've not had any games to be excited about for a while, and I'm in this weird funk as well because I've done this thing to myself where I've played so many of my games, like in part, but not finished them. But I've left it too long to just pick up where I left off, so I have to start them again, and that's kind of like a tedious thought. So I've been wanting to try and be in a gaming mood for the past week or so, and I just can't do it. Every time I try and play something, I'm just like, you know, I'm not really in the mood. Don't really have the energy for it. So that's been kind of rough. But I don't know. I've been watching movies though. I've been trying to keep my movie watching up. I'll try and have another one of those 121 catch up episodes where I just talk about a few movies that I've watched recently soon. I've got 2 to talk about so far. I'll get to about 4 or 5 and then do a little video. Lobdell also mentioned Linda Park is going to try and help Waldy in the lead up to his trial despite everything that happened at Sanctuary. Wally doesn't believe he deserves a defense, but Linda does. I mean, that could be good. Again, Lobdell, but in theory, could be good. I have so many games I need to finish, but I've just been playing stuff that's really fun to me. Yeah. Oh, I need a game to be excited about. I need something new that's exciting. New games are so expensive that it's hard to like just try something on a whim. You kind of have to really care to spend the money on it. But hey. But yeah. So now we got Handmaid's Tale and The Boys recorded tonight, so those will both begin up tomorrow. I am going to try and do some more archive Scream reviews soon. And by that I mean taking some ones off the old channel and just sort of jazzing them up a little bit with the new logo to put on the current channel. So I'll try and start doing that again soon. I was doing that for a little bit last year, and it got left behind because we hit the Octoberthon, and then after the Octoberthon I was so tired of editing Screams episodes that I just kind of left it for a while. 11:17 here. Oh, you're on the East Coast, Margaret. I'm used to translating these time zones due to recording with people all over the place. Including all the ones that had 40 people in them. 40? When did we ever have 40 people in Screams? Do you mean 4? We had 4 at one point. The answer is probably no, though, if that's what you mean, because those early episodes really suck. They really suck. You're being sarcastic. Sorry, Renegade. Look, it doesn't come across amazingly in text. But no, probably only from a certain point onwards, where I thought we kind of got better, is maybe the real answer. So basically just a bunch of reviews from 2016. We had like 30 Monday. 30? No. Renegade means like number of people on the episode of Screams After Midnight, because we used to have 4 way back at the start of the show. I watched all those old streams. Well, I mean, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you found some enjoyment in them, but I cringe watching some of those early ones. I hear my voice. I hear my presenter voice from those early days, and I'm like, ugh, what have I done? No. What have I done? Actually, that's a good point. I'm going to have to post the winners of the Patreon votes on Patreon tomorrow. All the vote winners. I'd reveal them. I don't know what they are off the top of my head, so I'm not going to tell you. For the record, though, when I do post on Patreon, who's won the votes, that's not a paid post. Everyone can see that. It's a public post. The trailer for Christopher Nolan's next movie was released in front of Hobbs and Shaw today. What? But it's not online? How dare they? That is... Oh, that hurts. This theatre exclusive bollocks. I can't be having it. They did that with something else. They did that with Happy Death Day, actually. Happy Death Day 2. Like, Tim happened to get the trailer before a movie, like, weeks before I got to see it, because they didn't put it online for weeks. Come on, it's 2019. Can't be doing this to us. Can't be doing it. And my Red Bull's almost finished, which is good. I shouldn't be drinking this too late. I say it after 4 o'clock. I'll have to go get water soon, but... Have you seen the trailer for The Kitchen? Maybe? Can't remember. I know what it is. It's the Melissa McCarthy, Elizabeth Moss movie. Someone put it up on Twitter, but it was taken down. Yeah, they're being secretive. This kind of shit bugs me. It bugs me especially because it tends to be a US exclusive thing, because attached trailers aren't really a thing in the UK. We just get whatever the theatre puts in front of something, for the most part. It's midnight here. Oh, you're in a slightly different time zone then, Bob. You're in a... Not central. You're in Canada, though. I don't know what time zones Canada has exactly. You're just slightly off of East Coast. The previews are the best parts about the movies. If the trailers are already online, it ruins the experience. I mean, for the movies that I care about, what I see the trailers for in advance, I want them online immediately. I don't want them to force me to go to a movie. Can't be having that. Not that I don't miss like the total element of surprise that you used to have, because you never really saw trailers except at the theater. But I mean, this is one of those things. Times have changed. It's annoying because when it comes to a big movie like this, where if they do something like this, is that some people have seen it and want to talk about it, but no one else can talk to them about it. So then we hear like pieces of information sometimes, and then it ruins the trailer to an extent because we already know what some of it's going to be. And you might avoid it, sure. You might avoid the information, but I don't know. It takes away the even playing ground, or playing field rather. The Hunt had good trailers. The Hunt was a good trailer, yeah. We'll talk about that on Monday. You're in Atlantic, I think. Well, Dill isn't the best, but him saying Wally Linda is still on the table even after he was in crisis, I'll take what I can get. If Wally lives a quiet life with Linda after his sentence is up, I'll take it. I doubt it, because Didio was teasing that he's going to be a big part of an event or something next year. Like the surprise that we had 2 Terminator games during E3. Well, more specifically, we had 2 Terminator DLCs. But yeah, yes, that was a total surprise. Came out of nowhere. Not as big as Keanu. Keanu was a bigger surprise. Which is exactly why I don't like things leaking for E3. The surprises are the best part. The more things that leak, the more boring the conferences are. So no, keep everything a secret. And I know why people do it, because they get the clicks, because they've got the scoop, but it does take away some of the magic. It really, really does. You're breathtaking. No, you're breathtaking. Oh, that man, Keanu. Dan will probably make Wally a full villain, or he'll die in the next Crisis event. If he does die, I would like a homage to Kara's Crisis Infinite Earth's death, with Barry holding Wally's body. Well, someone asked him if he'd get a new book after whatever this plan is for him, and he apparently just smiled and said that something like, "Oh, we can't talk about anything past that." But he had a smile on his face, so it kind of implied that there was plans for some sort of Wally book after whatever this event thing is going to be. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Knowing our luck, it'll probably be more Lobdell. But can't see it. Can't see it. Anyway, we can take peace in other things, I suppose. Yes. All right. It's a Thursday. What happens on Thursdays? Is there exciting things to talk about on Thursdays? I don't think so. No more or less than a Friday, I guess. It's been rumored for a while that it'll relaunch Suicide Squad with Wally on the team. I mean, maybe, but that rumor's so old at this point that I don't know if I'm convinced that's what they're planning. Because whatever the event's going to be next year is probably going to be the summer. So we're talking like fall next year, whenever they launch this book that might happen afterwards. I'd be surprised if it was still that Suicide Squad rumor at that point, just because it was so earlier. So much earlier rather. Was it hot today? Not excessively, no. I mean, warm enough, but not like difficult to deal with. And I got my walk in today. I didn't get my walk in yesterday because there was thunder and lightning storms basically all day, and I didn't want to get struck by lightning, so I had to take a day off. But I did go out today, and I'll make up for it because I'll have more time on Saturday this week, so I'll get an extra walk in on Saturday. Jersey Shore, Family Vacation, and Big Brother are my Thursday DVR shows. Rude Boy, sometimes you baffle me. This is one of those times. But you can enjoy your trash shows all you want. I mean, no judgment. You you enjoy them. I don't think it's likely you'll be struck by lightning. No, but I mean, I do live in a kind of hilly area. At least I don't watch The Bachelor. I never talk about Love Island. Oh my god, guys, really? Are we really gonna do this to me? I don't know if this is worse or better than y'all starting to talk about Star Wars. Like, I don't know which one I actually hate more. At least Star Wars, I like some of the movies. Is Love Island even something that US folk watch? Has it got like a popular sort of international audience? What network's it on? I'm curious. Okay, it's an ITV show, I think. And ITV, I don't think, have a US channel. Phil, welcome to the stream. Forgive me for being a dumb American, but do you live in Scotland? Yes. I do indeed. It's on CBS. Really? And it's the British Love Island that's on CBS? Or is it like an American version? Oh, it's a new US one. Oh, it's MTV for Love Island. Okay. But it's a US one. It's not just the British one that's on. Okay. I've never watched it. CBS is Big Brother. Yes. Big Brother was Channel 4 for the first like 10 years, and then they cancelled it, and then Channel 5 picked it up. And the reason why they're called Channel 4 and 5 is because for a long time we had 3 channels. And when I say a long time, I think we got Channel 4 around the same time the US got Fox. So it was a pretty similar kind of setup, but although 2 of the channels were the same company, BBC 1 and 2 were always programmed into 1 and 2 in your TV, and ITV was always number 3. So when they started the 4th channel, the 4th network, they just called it 4. They're like, no, we're going to play into the fact that everyone refers to the other ones as channels 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to call it Channel 4. And then the 5th network did the same thing, and they called it Channel 5. But it's kind of this bygone era, because this was a time when, unless you had satellite or cable, you just had those 5 channels. But now even the free stuff is like a free digital thing where you have at least a few dozen channels. So you have to just kind of accept they all have names, but you'll still get old grannies and stuff referring to things as Channel 14 and Channel 22, even though no one remembers, because every system is different. Like Freeview to satellite to cable all number everything differently. So the channel numbers mean nothing. Anyway, I'm just going to rant about TV. Remember UPN? I do remember UPN. Buffy was on UPN. The hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer was on UPN for 2 seasons. Amusingly, it moved from the WB, and then the WB and UPN merged to become the CW. So it kind of ended up in the same place again in a weird way. UPN was good. UPN had Veronica Mars, had a couple of seasons of Buffy. It had Star Trek Enterprise, which I don't know if it was good. I've not seen it yet, but I don't know what else was on UPN. What a weird acronym, though. CW is a weird acronym. I still don't think CW rolls well off the tongue. Did you see RS's comment? Oh, I did not. I would actually like Wally v Superboy Prime. The parallels are similar. Lives ruined by Crisis on Infinite Earths and Flashpoint. Survivor of pre-crisis vs the survivor of post-crisis. It would be interesting. Sure, you could put that in a crisis. Yeah, I would put that in some sort of sequel to Infinite Crisis, I guess. Infinity Crisis. Beyond the Infinite Crisis. I don't know what you call it. One of the first Fox series was a show called The New Adventures of Beans Baxter, about a teen who is forced to become a secret agent. In the first episode, A Nightmare on Bean Street. That's a funny title. Unlimited Crisis. There you go. Oh, the never-ending crisis. La 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 la. Yeah, you do that. Yeah. So I've been enjoying your discussion on The Boys. I've been watched the whole series last weekend. That's cool. There was quite a few people who told us that they tried the show based on our episode 1 review, which is actually really nice to hear. We recorded our episode 4 review tonight, so that'll be up tomorrow. It's the longest one, yeah, actually. It was like 40-something minutes. So you can look forward to that. It's actually, it's funny actually, some YouTube comments, because you asked if I lived in Scotland earlier. Certain comments will assume that Connor's also Scottish for some reason, even though to me and him he sounds nothing like Scottish. But it's just a thing that happens a lot. And there's some nice big comments on that Alita review as well, actually. So some people explaining why I'm wrong, which I always enjoy. He's English, right? He is indeed. He is English. He's from the Midlands. I want to say. He can explain it better than I can. I think it's the red hair. I guess. I don't know. To me, he sounds proper English, but I mean. You thought I was Irish? Top of the morning to you. You thought I sounded like this, did you? Saying, "Fick this and fick that." Got my pot of gold, because I'm a leprechaun. I can't do an Irish accent. I apologize. Any Irish people who happen to listen to this, I apologize profusely. One of your best pals ever is a Scouser. Oh, that's an accent to get used to. Yeah, I don't think Scottish and Irish sound anything alike. They're very distinct accents. To the point where some foreign people really like one or the other. Because I've heard people say, "Oh, I really like your accent. It's much better than an Irish one that sounds silly." But I've also heard people say, "Oh, your accent's a bit silly, but I really like Irish ones." That's my best attempt at a fake accent. You're not offended, right, guy, because you're part Irish. Americans and you're part Irish and Scottish bollocks. You're American. That's it. All this heritage nonsense that Americans always talk about. I hear Americans say they're Scottish, and I'm like, you're not Scottish. I'm Scottish. You're American. Leave it be. We don't claim you anymore. The trick is with an accent is you need a trigger phrase. I agree with that, rude boy. I have actually tried to watch an Irish film once, and I had to put on subtitles because they were talking so fast that I actually struggled. And I usually am fine with accents, especially other British accents. Well, Irish isn't British technically, but you know, close enough. But yeah, but you need a trigger phrase. So my trigger phrase for Irish is "top of the morning to you." That's how you start it off, and then you get the swing of the words in your head, and then maybe like, "Where's my pot of gold?" You know, and then I may go to Father Ted and be like, "I've got to kick Bishop Brennan up the arse," and things like that. Part Irish, also part Native American. I know. Maybe it's just because I'm presumably just 100% Scottish, as far as I know. And if I am anything else, I have no idea. But I've never really heard anyone here talk about their heritage or anything like that, or give a shit about it. It's just not a thing people talk about here. Not really. At least I've never encountered it. I being part Native American gets me free medical care to a point. Interesting. Being a person in Scotland gets me free medical care. I don't even know if you need to be a citizen to get free medical care. I think if you're on vacation here and you get hurt, you'll get free medical care. I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think you would. You're a New Yorker living in Los Angeles, but you don't really have an accent unless you're around other New Yorkers. Yeah, there is kind of like a base American accent, at least from the perspective of everyone else, which is probably California, just because movies are made primarily in California. Can you move there? I mean, I'm not in control of visas or anything like that. And you're not living with me, but I'm sure you'd be welcomed out of the country. And it's not about thinking that one is better. Honestly, like, I'm not a patriotic person. Patriotism is like kind of a weird concept to me that I've never really understood. So like the Pledge of Allegiance is like a weird thing, like a really weird thing to me. The idea that that's a thing is so bizarre. If you snuck into Scotland, would you get free medical care and get to stay? Probably. Yeah. I we don't have an equivalent of ICE as far as I'm aware. Certainly never hear about it. um, and yes, free medical care, proper gun control. Here, so this is the point I was getting to. Is I'm not a very patriotic person. Um, I think the idea of being proud because of where you happen to be born is kind of weird, and it's not really important. And other people are important. But I actually bizarrely get quite proud of like what Scotland is when I start realizing what things like places like the US don't have, and I'm like, because like I used to get confused watching like American sitcoms growing up. You know, when I was a kid and I was watching Friends or I was watching whatever else was on the comedy channel. I used to get confused whenever people would like talk about paying medical bills. I didn't understand what a medical bill was because that's not a thing here. Medical bills don't exist. So that was weird. And then the other thing that always confused me was the idea of saving for college, because in Scotland, the government pays for your college or university tuition. Now, you do get to take out loans and stuff for living costs if you want on top of that, and I did, and I will owe that back to some extent. Although the leniency in how when you pay it's quite good, but like you don't have to save for your college here. It's not a thing you need to do. It's free, and you're allowed a false start as well. You're allowed to like start a course and drop out and then start again, and they'll pay for the rest of. And if you fail a second time or drop out a second time, you can do a third go round. You just have to take out loans that you'll need to pay back to pay for the year that you're getting extra essentially. So it's quite lenient. And then we have gun control, and typically whenever there's a vote of any kind, take Brexit for example, Scotland universally said no, this is stupid, we should stay in the EU. Unfortunately, England's got a lot more people, and the tits that they are dragged us out of the EU. With the exception of London. I'll give London their props. London were the one location in England as a geographical section that voted sensibly. So yeah, those things are all nice. We have quite a good standard of living, just because, provided you don't mind me but don't mind answering, did you vote leave or stay? For Europe, yeah, I just answered that. I voted for staying in the EU, obviously, given my tone and what I just said. But Joe, it's funny because the Trump election was later that year, right? And I remember like looking at the map of the UK for the Brexit and just being depressed that most of England dragged us out of the EU. And it was kind of the same thing in the US election that year, where you could see like the states on the coasts were quite sensible for the most part, but then all of the middle of the country just dragged everyone else towards Trump, and it was just kind of like, ugh. Anyway, but Peter, half the college kids here majoring in gender studies or art history and get out of college are surprised they can't make money. Yes. I mean, I did television production, and to be fair, those skills have been useful in what I do now. It's not like that was a waste of time, and everything that wasn't useful, I enjoyed doing for the most part. There was only a couple of things in that course I hated. So, in New Mexico, kids get the first 4 years of university paid for. It's the only place in the US that I've heard of that has that. Yeah, I've never heard of that in the US, so that's good that that state does that. And hell, actually, one thing that Scotland has over England, actually, outside of the tuition, because England get a lot of the loans and stuff, but I don't think they get it outright paid for them. England do have free healthcare, but they don't have free medicine. We do. So and this is a relatively new thing. When I was a kid, you had to pay for your prescriptions, you know, and it wasn't a lot. Like, it wasn't an expensive thing. You know, you get a prescription and it cost maybe, I don't know, $5 or something like that, or whatever it would be, if that. I can't remember. I didn't have to pay for one since I was a kid, so then it wasn't me paying for it. Obviously, it was my parents. But now, for the last 10, 15 years, if you get a prescription, you just get it. You don't have to pay for it, and that's specifically a Scottish thing. The Scottish branch of the NHS just budgeted for it, and we get that now. Do you feel it's okay that an unelected body somewhere in Germany is dictating policy in your country? Referring to the EU? The EU, for the most part, has a lot of good qualities. Now, I'm not someone who's super political in the sense that I actually understand the ins and outs of everything. I've never really been that... Like, I've become more vocally political about certain things in the last few years because I feel like, just out of human decency, I have to speak up for certain things because it feels like a lot of things are being targeted that I think are important. But generally speaking, I think we're better in the EU than not for a lot of reasons. And a lot of what dragged us out of the EU was fear of immigration, because enough people are racist and we're convinced. And enough people who would have voted sensibly didn't bother voting because they didn't think there was a chance we'd make the wrong choice, and so on. Most places have to pay a state tax, but Nevada is one of the few that you don't. One of the reasons why I live here. $5 for medicine. Yeah, medicine was never expensive. Now it's free, but it was never expensive before. Television production has value. Employers aren't looking for people who study art history and gender studies. They are looking for people with actual useful skills. Oh, absolutely no. I mean, I learned useful skills. I learned how to operate cameras and sound equipment and live editing and proper, not proper, non-linear editing. What you use for most things. The murder rate in London is higher than NYC. To be fair, I think that's actually more to do with the fact that New York City is actually a really safe city now. Because everyone always makes jokes about New York in the 70s and stuff like that, but it's actually quite a safe place these days. So I think that's more to do with New York getting much safer over the last however long than it is to do with London being a complete cesspit. Because if you start comparing any other sort of per capita sort of thing like that, because I remember watching a skit from one of the late night talk shows that looked at the murder capital of the UK, which I think was Birmingham, and compared it to a town in the US that was called Birmingham, which had a smaller population, a much smaller, because Birmingham is a pretty big city in England. And they compared, I think it was specifically murder by guns specifically, or was it maybe it wasn't, but either way it was per capita, the town in the US had an 10 times higher per capita murder, despite the fact that the population was much smaller. And it was one of those things where you looked at it and went, whoa, I'd feel unsafe going to that town. The murder rate's so goddamn high. $70 for pills, Jesus Christ. Knife crime is out of control in London. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not like there's no murder in the UK. I mean, that's just what it is. I have a friend in England who's a cop, who's a police officer, and he's outright said that he would not do his job in the US. He would not want any part of it. He does not want to carry a gun. He does not want to be involved in that in any way, shape, or form. It's such a different profession here. What's wrong with studying subjects like art history? Education in and of itself is valuable. There's not necessarily anything wrong with studying it. It's just that it doesn't necessarily lend itself directly to a job, I guess. Would you believe that the cities with the highest gun control have the most crime? It sounds like the sort of fact you drop in a trivia, so I guess. Has the most crime, but do they have the most murder by gun? Do they have the most gun violence? Probably not. Oh, what's Tim? Tim's messaging me. He's asking me about streams. It's been an insightful stream. Yeah, I guess I've been giving you some food for thought. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the thing with good gun control is that, you know, people who are advocates for guns always bring up, you know, people still get murdered in, you know, this place and that place, and of course they do. There's still going to be people to kill people. Like, that's always going to be a thing. Like, I mean, you try and minimize it as much as you can, but it's always going to be there in some capacity. The difference is that when people have tried to murder a lot by knife, they can be taken down relatively quickly compared to someone with a machine gun. It's just the way it is. It's just much easier to kill a lot of people with a gun than it is most other way. Obviously, explosions are a different kettle of fish, but one can be used to defend yourself. Nah. I don't want anyone around me with a gun. I don't care. Nothing makes me comfortable with anyone walking around with a firearm in any way, shape, or form. And it's never a concern here. I have never heard anyone in the UK complain that they felt unsafe because they can't carry a gun around ever. Mexico has gun control, but there are a lot of guns trafficked from the US, so it doesn't do anything. There are also a lot of corruption and all that. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about it, but I've heard about corruption in Mexico. It being a little bit more wild. But it's one of those things where, like, it's a heavy subject to bring up. I remember, like, someone on Twitter trying to get into an argument with me because they didn't like that I implied that I didn't like guns. And they got very heated with me and started spouting all sorts of reasons why they'd never give up their gun. And I'm like, I'm not really looking for a fight here, but you're never going to change my mind. It's never going to happen. Because the prime argument was like, don't you worry that one day your country will try and like you'll become a dictatorship and try and control you, and you'll need to fight back. And I'm like, no, never once, never once in my life have I even considered that possibility. And I'm still not worried about it. Funnily enough, way I see it is if that happens, outside of getting a couple of kills in quickly, I'm probably still screwed. It's not going to really help anything. So no, I'm not really concerned about it. I'm not really concerned. I have literally never heard a gunshot, and I am a-okay with that fact. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about the zombie apocalypse not happening. I'm feeling pretty good about it. I mean, we'll see. Somehow it'll be Connor's fault if it does happen. We can move on from the serious topic though, if people would wish to. Oh, Tim's messaging me again. Kick back in the shotgun's a bitch. Oh, he's just asking me what we're doing this week. That's all. Bunch of civilian goobers running around with guns won't stop a country from becoming a dictatorship. Masses of people rising up and taking the streets will. Mm. Oh. Oh. We should probably move on to a new topic. Everyone's went quiet though. This is why we don't discuss serious things here, guys. So jovial. You gotta see Hobbs and Shaw? Nah, probably not. I mean, I might see it eventually, you know, when it's streaming or whatever. But I'm not in any rush. Not in any rush at all. What do you want to talk about, Pete? Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. Hey, sunshine on the water. Yours? That maybe yes. I think that's maybe yes. Wait, I'm going to let me say that's maybe yes. What do I want to talk about? I don't know. That's alright, Phil. It's alright, Phil. Honestly, the serious talks like that when you get into political stuff, like sometimes it reveals some people who are unpleasant to be around. You know, and not specifically because they have different views, just because of the way they have to enforce them. I mean, it's led to someone being banned in the past because they get very vocal and shouty, and confrontational about things. And one or two, I think, were here when that happened. I know Renegade was for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a time and a place. I mean, at the same time, you don't want to not have the conversations because it's important, especially when it feels important to, if you know, if you, regardless of where you're following your beliefs, like it's important to try and effect some change that you think is important. But at the same time, it's such a heated thing. Some of it. My iPad screen is suddenly making things purple, and YouTube people are saying hit it with a hammer near the charging slot. Anyone ever do that? Hit the screen? Or no, hit the edge with a hammer? I have never done that, no. Or heard of anyone doing that. On more pleasant topics, I can't wait for you guys to get to some of the better TNG episodes. Oh, I'm excited. About getting to more TNG. We have recorded the next one already. We're hoping to get ahead soon once other TV stuff starts dying down. And maybe if we get ahead enough, we might even start putting out 2 a week. But that's not a promise. That's just kind of a maybe, depending on how the schedule ends up being. But no, I'm glad to be doing it again. You know, I missed it for that month that we took off. Sunday, I used to have arguments with my sisters because they backed McCain and Palin, but are now all anti-Trump, so it's all good. He's just silly enough that they couldn't get behind him, and racist enough, which I imagine are very relevant. Trump, he's such a... Oh god, it's funny. Like for a long time, we would never talk about anything political on any of the shows, but it's just impossible not to make it very clear that we don't like Trump. It's just impossible. It's too hard. Whoa. There it is. I was looking for my scroll bar there. I couldn't find it. Bloody typical. Anyway. Oh, no. Let me minimize that. Don't minimize that. I wanted to move this down. so that I could lean back a little bit. Do you have Thanksgiving and Christmas here? Thanksgiving, no. Thanksgiving's an American thing. Christmas, we have. It's actually kind of weird. You think we might not, to be honest. Trump was really considered racist when he ran for president. Before that, he was praised in rap music and big donor to the Democrats. I news to me. To be fair, I don't really know a whole lot about Trump before the presidential race. But I do not have a positive opinion of the idiot. The fact that Mueller had to say him doing his job was not a witch hunt means he's already won. I was like, Christmas was an American holiday too. Christmas is a pretty all over the Western world kind of holiday, and even then, I think it's pretty much spread to a lot of other places too. Not the whole world's into it, but Christmas is Christmas and Halloween. Although you guys definitely go more nuts with decorating your houses for these holidays. Very few houses bother decorating the outside of their house for any of these. In one of the Ace videos, you were talking about playing softball and baseball in PE. Is that common in Scotland? I think so. I mean, it's not like we kind of I remember rotating through a lot of different things, and I think it was just a case of, yeah, that was in the rotation. But I assume that was common enough. It wasn't something we did often. Like, we did it for a couple of weeks at one point, and that was it. Just like we did a couple of weeks of doing various athletic things, and we did a couple of weeks of hockey, did a couple of weeks of football, did a couple of weeks of basketball, did a couple of weeks of just basic gym stuff. Never rugby or US football though. That was never a thing for whatever reason. I saw a really cool documentary about how Christmas and how the winter holiday was created in Northern Europe by people on mushrooms. I knew it came from that area. I didn't know about the mushrooms. I will say, I'm not religious. I am like completely atheist, but I enjoy Christmas just because it's a time where everyone gets to kind of be festive, and I like Christmas decorations and presents and the excitement of Christmas from when I was a kid. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Arguably it's the purely the commercial reasons, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's a holiday that doesn't really discriminate, unless you take the religious aspect strictly. Because Valentine's Day sucks if you're single. I don't know what other ones that's the only one I can think of. But Christmas is for everyone. Christmas essentially is for everyone, assuming you just buy into the fun of it and forget the religious stuff. What about Halloween? Halloween is a holiday that is here. I feel like trick-or-treaters have died off, though, over the last, 10, 15 years. But, they sell Halloween stuff, and there's always horror movies on TV, and I quite enjoy watching horror movies, so, it's a thing. Not really, again, people don't really decorate their house for Halloween for the most part. That's what the latest voice is building to. Okay. I haven't celebrated the holidays for a while. We probably won't at all anymore. That's a shame. Not that I really celebrated that much the last couple of years either. In Japan, Christmas is just a department store gimmick. New Year's is the big holiday. That's interesting. Is egging a thing over there? Very minor. Like, it's not. Sorry, is eggnog? I thought you meant egging, as in Halloween, egg in a house. I've literally seen that happen once in my entire life. So that's how rare it is. Is eggnog a thing over here? There? Not really. No. And I hate egg, so I would probably stay far away from it if it was. Yeah, Easter's not. I mean, I think Easter unless it's just for the chocolate eggs, it's really just if you're religious. I've never really done anything for Easter. I mean, I was thankful when I was a kid that I got like 2 weeks off school, but other than that. Roger wanted to make the president for a long time, even before he wanted to get Obama out of office. Yeah. I mean, I've not watched the rest of the show and didn't really follow all this sort of stuff that much, but eek. I used to colors eggs and hide them. I found them. I got prizes. Okay. It'll taste about as much as cake tastes like eggs. Well, okay, fair enough. It looks eggy in color whenever I've seen it, so I have not been excited about the prospect. But no, I've never tried eggnog because it's not really a thing here. Yeah, no, just not a fan. Only other major holiday I know is Labor Day. Yeah, Labor Day is not a thing here. Nor is July 4th. I mean, there is a. I mean, July 4th is a day on the calendar, but there's no celebration or any reason to care about it. Although bizarrely, despite the fact that we don't have Thanksgiving, stores have started doing Black Friday over the last couple of years. They've wanted in on Black Friday, even though Black Friday is related to Thanksgiving. It's weird. The first time that happened on Amazon, it was really weird. Cinco de Mayo. No, we don't have that. Which one's Cinco de Mayo? Because I'm familiar with Dia de los Muertos. If I probably butchered the pronunciation of that. You made a 4th of July joke in this. Yeah, I did. Labor Day's in September. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, what is Cinco de Mayo? I think I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. Oh, it's Mexican independence. Okay. Interesting. I'm not going to lie, I didn't realize that there was a time when they weren't independent. Independence from whom? The US? Or someone else? Oh, yeah, we have Mother's Day and Father's Day, although they're not the same dates. Annual celebration held on May 5th. The date is observed to commemorate the Mexican army's victory over the French Empire. Oh, it's the French Empire. Okay. Yeah, this is history that I have never heard about or even talked about. May the 4th, though, is the day you wear Star Wars shirts because May the 4th be with you. I am familiar with May the 4th be with you, yes. I do not celebrate in any way, shape, or form. Thank you very much. Because I am a gentleman of taste, a gentleman of class. Now, Alien Day on the 26th of April. Now, that's a day. Just cribbed that from Wiki. That's fair. But, you know, I was surprised at the mention of French Empire. I was like, oh, French Empire? Okay. Clearly, I don't know a whole lot about Mexico's history. There's also St. Patrick's Day, but no one celebrates that. Well, people who like to drink a lot celebrate that. At least some people do. Not my sort of holiday either. Oh, they're legalizing pot in Scotland. I actually don't know. It's not something I pay attention. I don't even drink, so I don't really give a shit. Episodes 4 and 5 of Star Wars were great. The rest are shit. Yeah. I mean, I don't hate Return of the Jedi. I don't hate Force Awakens. Force Awakens I enjoyed well enough when it came out, but I didn't like Last Jedi. I didn't like Rogue One. I didn't bother seeing Solo. Prequels are all shit, like direly shit. I don't think I'm going to bother seeing Episode 9. I think I'm just out. Cinco de Mayo is for drinking too. Yeah. Funny how many holidays just turn out to be for drinking. There was a thing before you weren't wearing a green on St. Patrick's Day. You got pinched. Okay. Oh come on, that's a burning question. Very good, Phil. Is the next boys review coming tomorrow? It is indeed. We recorded it tonight. Episode 4 is coming tomorrow. Cinco de Drinko. Oh, very good. Maybe one day I'll be on a game show and this will be asked. And I'll be like, hey, I know what Cinco de Mayo is. Oh. Pardon me. Just a little bit. I'm not actually that sleepy yet. Sometimes I'll start yawning and I'm not really that tired yet. I guess part of my body is because it's yawning, but I don't feel sleepy or drowsy or anything like that. Hey Alison, welcome to the stream. Our late stream. Our wacky stream, which is varied from serious topics to silly ones. There's also Day of the Dead, Mexico's Halloween. I am familiar with that one, yes. What's your favourite genre of video game? Oh, survival horror. And by survival horror, I specifically mean classic survival horror like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Back in the PS1 and early GameCube days. That is my genre. I also enjoy many RPG and games like XCOM and games like Last of Us and Uncharted and things like that. Isn't it like 5 a.m. for you? It is indeed, Alison. I welcome you here on this silly time. I was going to go into Mexican history in the comments of your La Llorona review, but I was like, nah, it's not worth it. I wouldn't mind if you did, but I mean that's up to you. That's maybe an odd question, but in the description on IMDb, it mentioned that the main family in La Llorona was Hispanic, and maybe I'm just like really white and don't notice this, but Linda Cardellini's not Hispanic, right? She's white. Like, I'm not missing something here. I'm assuming the description was just wrong. But I didn't want to just bring it up in the review because I thought, wait, what if I'm wrong? Doom 3? I've never played Doom 3. XCOM's a blast. I love XCOM. XCOM 2 is like one of my favourite games. La Llorona is a cool urban legend. Yeah, the woman in white, yeah. I think her husband was supposed to be Hispanic. Okay. That makes some sense. So her kids were... Okay. It really confused me. I'm like, what? Am I just blind here? What's going on? Yeah, that makes sense. My complaint still stands though that since we still forced the main character to be white, that like we're doing some weird cultural thing. Like, why not just set it in Mexico? Like, not the movie. I mean, the movie's got bigger problems in terms of quality, but it's just frustrating. Any movie where it's the main character's white, but it's like a part of other, some other culture that's got the spooky thing in it, it just kind of, it always bugs me. Other Side of the Door did it. The Darkness did it. I watched that movie Breaking In with Gabrielle Union or Gabrielle Union. It was pretty boring. Yeah, we never get around to that for whatever reason. I don't think we ever even considered watching it. It was kind of weird, I guess. I think we just forgot about it. I think we couldn't see it in theaters, and then we just never bothered remembering or looking for it when it came to home video. And I think at this point, time's passed. Like I think we need to look at Breaking In. Ba 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 ba. One good thing about the game, I like Deathmark. It has to do with Japanese ghosts, and it's in Japan with Asian people. That's cool. That's cool. And it wouldn't be. I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't such a prevalent thing. But it's such a common thing, though, is to have the white main characters, but have like the ghost or whatever come from another culture. Does anyone here watch The Detour? I can't say I do. Oh, pardon me. The yawnies are coming in a little bit. Still feeling strong though. Feeling strong. The legend of La Llorona has a lot to do with the Spanish conquest of Mexico too, so you're spot on. That's good to hear. It's good to hear I'm not completely in the dark. But yeah, it frustrates me. It frustrates me. It was the same with Tales from the Crypt. Like there'd be at least one episode every season where it'd be like, oh, look at this culture and their weird things. Well, no, I mean, I think in a TV show it's different. Like, if it's in a TV show and you've got, like, let's say it's supernatural. I mean, admittedly, they did La Llorona for the first episode, which is, maybe a bit weird, but, like, they're fighting different ghosts and stuff every week, and if you're bringing stuff, real myths and legends in, then sure, okay, like, if some of the episodes are going to pull from different cultures, that's fine. It just feels like you're doing, like, as many as you can, and you're representing many other cultures and stuff, but there's so many movies that do this that it feels like we know what you're doing. Suburban Decay. It's a family on the run comedy series. Season 4 is airing. It's a TBS original, very raunchy and wacky. It's really good. Only a half-hour show. I've actually never heard of it, somehow. TBS kind of goes under the radar, though. At least for me. Eek. Right now the schedule for September is looking really quiet. But we've not got to the point yet where Netflix has like filled it up with whatever it's doing. We have no idea what they're doing for most of the month, barring I think like one thing. So it could quickly become very busy. But at least right now, September schedule is looking really quiet. Who knows what we'll do with all that time if there's no Netflix or Amazon shows. Oh, pardon me. What's funny is that you'd probably expect me to know all about Scottish history, and I really don't. We never really did Scottish history in school. And I think that was unique to my school, though. I think a lot of schools like to be kind of patriotic and teach, when they're doing history, teach a lot about Scottish history. But it was never really something we did in my courses. I thought of an idea where aliens disguise themselves as famous ghosts. That's a fun comedy. I remember when X Files would bring up the chupacabra, sorry, and use it to annoy. It used to annoy me so much because they always presented it as a Mexican thing, but it's a Puerto Rican monster. That sucks. That sucks. Luckily, I've never like watched a movie and had them incorrectly say that the Loch Ness monster's Irish or something like that, or that leprechauns are Scottish. I've never had to put up with that. I read somewhere that 13 Reasons Why will end with season 4, which is filming right now. Season 3 hasn't aired yet. They also edited out a suicide scene from season 1 because of the backlash. I did hear about the editing, the scene. I did hear that. Suburban Kate, I got to give you a thank you. A few weekends ago, the lady and I were at a loss for something to watch, and a light bulb appeared over my head. I checked all the episodes of Screams After Midnight, and bam, we watched The Intruder, I think it was called. Um, the 1989 movie uh, with Sam Raimi, with a cameo from Bruce Campbell, set in the supermarket, that one? The agoraphobic girl who has the Home Alone basement. Oh, Intruders. I think it was plural. Yeah, Intruders, I think that was called. Yeah. I don't remember what one that is. That was a while ago. I don't remember much about the movie, admittedly. It's been like 3 years since we did that, but yeah, I remember the movie. Happy to help. Happy to have the Screams library help as a movie picking device. One of the Culkins was in it. Oh, yeah, I can't remember that. I can't remember that now you've said it. Been a long time, though. Been a long time. Ah, the Culkins. I love your intro to the Burning review. It got me to see the Burning. Oh yeah, that was back when we were worried that the slasher reviews were going to be too short, so we paired them up. Didn't last very long. now we somehow fill the time, even if the movie doesn't give us a lot of discussion. For the most part, there's the odd problematic one. Problematic. Problematic. Oh dear. There's one coming up actually that's really short, because the movie was really short. Maybe there'll be some news edited onto it though to make it a bit heftier. Do 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 do. Oh, been a little bit warm. What if there's a cool breeze outside? Looking forward to the Oktoberthon. Oh, I'm glad. The Oktoberthon will be the biggest ever. Me and Tim have already started banking episodes. We've got 2 banked. We're banking on all 2 this weekend. And that'll be 4 out of 31 done. Not that we'll definitely hit 31, but I'm going to try. The girl from university board the Sunset Limited. I have no idea what that means. The girl from university board the Sunset Limited. You did another public vote then? Yeah, there'll be a public vote. There'll be 2 Patreon votes and a public vote. As per usual. Be boarded the Sunset Limited, I think. Is this a movie? Tim is such a talker. I'm surprised to hear you ever had a problem filling time. Yeah, I guess there was just a time before we got our chemistry and I don't know, our I don't know, rapporte. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is we've bonded over time, and Now we're this crazy duo. Now we're this crazy duo. Oh. Oh. I was making sure the windows were open, and making sure there was a nice direct line for the breeze to hit me, should there be one. Because it's a little warm. At least I feel warm. It's one of those things where I think it's less that it is warm and more that I'm just feeling kind of warm. Yeah, Tim might have lost his mind. That may be a thing that happened. Damn professor. Damn professor indeed. Good man cometh. Go, I'll get the movie rights for Goatman. I'll direct the Goatman movie. Then I'll have Tim as a consultant, just so I can do the opposite of everything he asks. Just so I know what will piss him off. I kid. Oh, Firefly's all stretched out and looking over his shoulder. Who's up, cat? Who's up, Firefly? Ah, you madness. Oh, pardon me. Pardon me. It's a bit on the late side, but I think we can struggle out another half hour. Make it a full 2-hour stream. Mm-hmm. It's still early. Ah, don't be silly. Renegade. Well, that Tyler's not appeared. That Tyler's missing more streams. Shocking state of affairs. What he needs to do, he needs to hit the bell. So he always gets the notification. That's what he needs to do. And I say that because he always, like, whenever we tell him he missed a stream, he's always annoyed and like, damn it! I was doing this stupid thing, or I was doing that stupid thing. My brother from another mother. He was here last Friday. I saw the Blue Range. Is that what he's referred to now? The Blue Range? The Blue Range is here. He's coming for us. Actually, I'm going to be back in a second. I'm going to go get a drink, a bottle of water. I have been sitting here a while without one. So I'll be back in a second. Back. Eat that horse. Welcome to the stream. And I mean, as for the topic, I mean, we've been bouncing around all over the place. You may ask anything you wish. Well, within reason. Anyone drinking. You know me, rude boy. Haven't drank up until this point, and not going to start now. Although I'm getting to an age now where people, when they hear I don't drink, are going to assume that I'm a recovering alcoholic, which is I'm going to have to make a really succinct way of saying no. I just don't drink. You don't have to be edgy around me. Maybe I could have fun with it though. Maybe if I realize people think I'm an ex-alcoholic or a recovering alcoholic, maybe maybe I'll like keep almost going towards booze just to mess with them a little bit, give them some drama. Ooh. Do you just not like the taste? I've never actually tasted that much. I've like sipped like one or two things, but I've never tasted beer. I have no idea what beer tastes like. Um, I just never started. I never really had the saw the appeal of it when when I was at that age where everyone started like dabbling with booze. I don't know. And then I was older, and I don't know. I think I just like being sober, which most people don't understand. But I don't know, just not for me, I guess. How about coffee? Oh, I don't like coffee, but that's not a like a choice. It's just I just hate the taste of it. I can drink tea, but I'm not really much of a hot drinker to be honest. I I used to drink a lot of soda, but I mean, I've stopped doing that for obvious reasons, health related reasons. Maybe a closet Mormon. I'm fairly certain that's not the case. Just say you're becoming an alcoholic for a Tony Stark cosplay. I think my hair might have sailed on that one. I can do the goatee, sure, but I think my hair is not there enough anymore for the Tony Stark cosplay. Quality programming, film, and TV, or is coffee and alcohol? Quite right, quite right. I don't like coffee, but I love Twin Peaks, which has a lot of talking about coffee. So there you go. That's my coffee. In fact, David Lynch in general is probably the equivalent or the closest I get to feeling drunk. So sure, David Lynch. There you go. That's my booze. Have you tried iced coffee? No. Iced coffee. I mean, you can get it here, but it's not like as common. I don't think. Coffee is one of those things that I feel make life worth living. I wish I liked it. I wish I was excited about going to a coffee shop and having fancy coffees. I'm just not. On the rare occasion I'm dragged into like a Starbucks, I typically end up getting a frappuccino, which has no coffee. It's just a caramel cream frappuccino. It's basically just diabetes in a cup. Are you going to watch or get back to reviewing more David Lynch movies? We absolutely should. I tried to convince Connor when we were doing Twin Peaks to like try and do all of them while we were doing Twin Peaks, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to have them to be spread out over more time. And we've just never like thought about going back at any point. But we totally should do Lost Highway and Elephant Man and Inland Empire and Eraserhead for sure. All this coffee talk is making me want coffee. It's only 9:30 at night. Shouldn't keep me up too late. Plus, I do want to watch the season finale of The Boys after Big Brother and Jersey Shore. Oh, rude boy, what is your life? I'm originally from Seattle, the world capital of coffee snobbery. This I know. There's three things I know about Seattle: coffee, rain, and Nirvana. That that is Seattle. And I suppose in a fictional sense, Fraser Crane, but that's about it. My grandfather drinks coffee like a fish. How does a fish drink coffee? Don't forget Microsoft. Oh, of course, of course. I was always a Wild at Heart fan. The opening fight scene with the heavy metal soundtrack behind it is epic. I'm going to make a confession here. Wild at Heart is the only David Lynch movie, at least on a first viewing, that I didn't like that much. Maybe I'll feel differently with a second viewing, but for some reason, something about it just didn't click with me. And I've liked pretty much everything else I've seen by him. My dad's name is Pete. I think you've mentioned that before, Propasta. I'm assuming that's Propasta and not Propasta. Although both sound alright. It has a Wizard of Oz theme to it. So many new faces. There's been a few tonight, that's true. Firefly is now licking himself. Just for the record, it's like the starch. Okay. Nope, now he's back to being asleep. Ah, well. Speaking of Twin Peaks, when I was a little kid, I lived one summer about 2 blocks from Laura Palmer's house, the real one in Everett, Washington. Oh, that's cool. I'm pro pasta too. Do you know, when I was younger, I didn't really like pasta that much, but I came to appreciate some pasta dishes when I got into adulthood. Although I've always thought lasagna is a bit too overwhelming for my taste. That said, I recently gave up cheese, so I guess that rules out lasagna anyway. But some spaghetti bolognese or just some spicy chicken with pasta or something like that's usually quite nice. Let's turn diet and give up cheese. I'll be honest, it's not been that hard. And the reason why I decided to give up on it is because I was kind of avoiding it for a while, not thinking I was giving up on it, thinking that I would occasionally still get a pizza. And I got a pizza after like not having cheese in like 6 weeks, and I just didn't find it very satisfying. And I'm like, I think I can just give this up because my body's just gotten used to not having it, so I don't crave it at all. And I have been losing weight, so that plus the walking is really helping. So I am a-okay with it. A-okay. It's showing, Pete. Thank you. Still ways to go, but I have noticed a difference in my face and also just, you know, my belt. Walking is great exercise. Yeah, I've been doing it 5 days a week, give or take, for, I don't know, 3 months, 4 months. My coffee machine is heating, and I grabbed a slice of sharp cheddar. Uh, but, I mean, I still like cheese theoretically. I give it up. I wish I could rid sugar from my diet. Uh, I do too, to a point, but I'm doing so well with the fat that like I can't do sugar at the same time. I have to space this shit out, even though I am concerned about possible diabetes when I'm older. But first things first. First thing is first. Funny thing, I need belts for my pants, but I still have to get an extra large shirts. What the hell? Just different ways they measure the sizes, I guess, between the various things. Still taking daily walks. Yep. At least 5 days a week. I do Monday to Friday typically. That said, for a few Sundays I got some in because Tim was away, so I wasn't doing streams. I actually snuck one in Saturday last week because I was up early enough. This week I'll be doing one Saturday because I don't have any comics to read. Although I did miss yesterday because there was a thunderstorm when I was meant to go walking, so I had to opt out. But I'll make up for it by doing an extra one Saturday. And what I have noticed is my route has stayed the same, but what was 70 minutes has become about 55. It's the exact same distance. I'm just doing it quicker than I used to, which is probably a good sign. Unless I get distracted by a lot of tweets or something like that, and I'm typing things as I go, which sometimes happens. I have dogs, so going for a hike in the Runyon Canyon several times a week is an easy motivation and keeps the dogs healthy. Yeah, that's good. I see a lot of dog walkers when I'm out. Like, I see tons of people walking dogs. You're able to take longer strides now. Maybe. I don't think about it too much. I just keep doing it. So some people think, oh, you should count the steps and like see how much you're. And I'm like, I don't really care. I'll just keep doing it. I've got this amount of time to walk each day. It's a nice amount that I don't feel too tired by the end of it. But I do feel it in my legs at the end still. Like, it's not like I'm not even breaking a sweat. So yeah, it's going well enough. It's definitely not a super quick way of losing weight, but it seems to be working. So I will take it. And I've gotten used to it. It's like I had stopped listening to podcasts for the most part just because I didn't really have any time where I could listen to them, because I used to commute a lot more and stuff like that. But now my hour long walk is my podcast time. So I've been getting a few in. Plus some fresh air, Good. Thank you, Cindy. Keep me spry. And I do find it makes me feel better for the rest of the day as well. I actually feel more awake for the rest of the day because I've done it. No dogs have tried to lick me yet, but I get the odd sniff. Whenever I'm working on set, especially at a location where I have to go back and forth to the prop truck, I get about 25,000 steps a day. Yeah, I mean, when I was just in uni doing like, short films and stuff like that or whatever, I was definitely getting a reasonable amount of activity that way. Not as much as now, because I didn't lose the same amount of weight as I am now, but it was certainly keeping me at a level, because I definitely put on a little bit of weight when I stopped doing that stuff. And it was inconsistent. It would vary week to week and day to day, like how much it would be. But there was a lot of like going around with heavy equipment, which gave me a little bit of a workout. My diet was much worse though, so that might have been what stopped me from losing more weight at the time. It wasn't uncommon to go to the milkshake place after a day at uni with, a few of us. They'd make you cookie milkshakes. It was great. But I was probably like ODing on fat and sugar like every day. Walking uphill is a really good way to lose weight fast. That's interesting. I mean, I actually can add a couple of hills into my route if I want to. And maybe I should. Maybe I should at least some days a week go the hill route. I just stopped eating as much. I eat once a day and snack later. Jason Bourne TV show in the same world, but it's not him. I wouldn't have thought it was going to be him. Because it's called Treadstone, so I mean, I think it was always pretty clearly going to be other characters. Can't say I'm super excited about it. The incline, as it gets steeper, burns calories faster and faster. Interesting. There's a couple of steep hills actually near me, and I actually did have one of them in my route early on. But I started going a different way just because it was a nicer uh, walk. It was just nicer scenery essentially. I could add in a hill or two though. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow. I know about this because I've been as skinny as 149 pounds and as heavy as 260. I have no idea what weight I am, and I'm kind of okay not knowing. I'll just keep losing. Um, I'm probably. I'm pretty sure I'm over 200, but I mean I don't. We don't really measure it in that way either, though, so it's hard to say. I'll do a hill tomorrow. Do you drink soda? Not anymore. I used to. I gave up the full stuff a long time ago and pretty much just switched to Pepsi Max and drank that for a long time. But I've given that up now entirely. I'll probably still get some glass bottles of Coke at like Christmas and stuff like that, but it's not a frequent thing at all. Like I'll have one every couple of months. Soda is my cocaine. You say that like everyone has a cocaine. But yeah, now I've made a lot of improvements this year to my health. Does Scott say soda or pop or soda pop? Not really. No. I mean, I say soda when I'm talking to you guys, just so that everyone understands me. We actually just refer to soda as juice. Or if we're differentiating from stuff like orange juice, we say fizzy juice. So we actually refer to Coke as juice. Believe it or not. I mean, not too often. You know, we just say Coke, Pepsi, Iron Brew, whatever. But if we're grouping them into something, we refer to it as juice. Ah. Well, I mean, fizzy juice, I guess, is more the slang thing. I think the official term is soft drink. I think that's the proper way of saying it. Like a sign in a store wouldn't say fizzy juice; it would say soft drinks. But growing up as a kid, we called it fizzy juice. Yeah, so I mean, pop's a weird one. I would never call it pop. Soft drink is the universal term. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I mean, yeah. No, I don't know where I was going with that. It's glanced over. Firefly just his head snapped around as if there was something interesting at the window, but I don't see anything. There must have been a noise. Must have been a noise in the distance. Do you like fruit juices? As in like orange juice and stuff like that? I mean, orange juice is nice. Not keen on apple juice. The average person doesn't tell the rest of the table at the restaurant, hey, I think I'll have a soft drink. They most probably say Coke or Sprite or the exact name. Yeah, I feel like most people normally say the exact name of what they want or what they're talking about. The putty cat is asleep. You'll have to hand it to the cats. They picked a fine time to go for their naps because they all went to sleep like right before I started streaming, which is nice because it means they're not up and causing chaos. Pineapple juice and cranberry juice is good too. Never tried pineapple juice. I have to say. What is the next Netflix show to anticipate? Mindhunter season 2, I would say, is the big one next month. Dear White People's back tomorrow. And Glow's back next week. And I like Glow a lot, so I'm looking forward to Glow. But Mindhunter is definitely the biggest one, I think, for August. And then we don't know after that. Netflix don't announce a schedule too far in advance, so it's hard to say. We know Witcher's coming this year. Is Mindhunters based on the movie? Don't think so. I'm not familiar with the movie though, to be honest. It's singular, it's just Mindhunter, if that makes a difference. I might rewatch season 1 of Mindhunter, it feels so long ago. I don't even remember the first season had a resolution. It had, well, otherwise spoil things I suppose, but I feel like I remember all the killers very well in all those meetings. It's been 2 years basically. Season 1 was maybe a little bit later in the year, so it's maybe not been 2 full years, but it's basically 2 full years. I like Mindhunter, but Glow is the one I'm looking forward to the most. I might agree with that. I like both a lot. We'll see what they end up announcing for later in the year. I don't know which juice season 2 wise. In season 1s are kind of hard to predict with Netflix because they just show up out of nowhere almost. There were several creepy guys that kept visiting jail. Ed Kemper was the big guy. There was the younger guy who liked crushing his can. There was the other guy who liked to masturbate with shoes. There's a movie called Mindhunters with Christian Slater about a group of FBI agents who got trapped in an island by a slasher. No, it's not that. Not even at all. Mindhunter is about the start of what we think of as criminal psychology in the FBI and hunting serial killers and inventing the term serial killer. Like if I go to my handy bookmark here, where are we? Upcoming original programming. The only thing we have confirmed for so we got Witcher confirmed for this year. We have the Criminal Anthology confirmed for this year. And that's basically it for notable things. But there's also there's a bunch more. I was looking at just stuff that said fall in 2019. The only Marvel show that's left is Punisher, before it's cancelled. So maybe that will be this year. I don't know. There's a horror show called October Faction. What is this? Globetrotting Monster Hunters. Maybe this will be something. I don't know. I'm sure we've probably talked about that in the news before, but I just don't remember it. We talk about so many shows in the news. The Island science fiction. I think that's like a. So the sci-fi show, vampire drama called V Wars coming this year. And that's pretty much it from a glance. What's confirmed for this year, but Netflix are really bad for just like telling us about a show like 2 weeks before it comes out. So I'm sure we'll see some other stuff. Punisher's last season was actually pretty good. Had a definite tone and the pace change from the previous seasons. I think you should check out at least an episode or two. I mean, I never finished season 1, so it's kind of hard to jump into season 2. Oh, Daredevil. Okay, yes, Daredevil season 3 I heard was better than season 2. Because I think Punisher season 2 is still to happen, but that's the last Marvel show. That's the last season of any of them. Then it's done. It's probably bad, but the episodes that I have seen of Mindhunter, I fast forward through all the main characters' scenes with his girlfriend. Oh dear. I mean the MCU shows. Oh, they're not on Netflix, Renegade. They're going to be Disney Plus. When it comes to Mystery Science Theater 3000, get Tower to show you the episode with parts the Clonus horror. Okay. I'll pass that on. I'll pass that on. Oh, purchasing's already happened? Alright, in that case, it's they're done. They're all finished. Jessica Jones was the last one. They're all done. Manson is played by the same guy as Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh, that's neat. Once I get to see it. Dee da da dun da dun da dun. Jessica Jones was weak 3 seasons and she barely ever uses any powers. She should just drink herself to death. Seems a bit harsh, but okay. He played Boy Clouder's little brother in Justified. I never watched Justified, but I heard it was good. Heard it was good. I. That's one of those shows from before we were doing the channel. So I wasn't watching quite as much, even though I'd seen a lot of shows, obviously. David Tennant was the draw, you think? Yeah, but he was a star power for sure in season 1. Oh, pardon me. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what? Those Marvel shows were so exciting when they started, and it's a shame just how off the rails it went in terms of interest. You still have to watch The Endless and Buster's Malheart. They're both noted. They're both noted. In fact, The Endless is on the schedule for the Ace, although we keep adding in movies that are relevant to things, so the movies that are there that are just kind of random or keep getting pushed back. So it'll happen eventually. It's on the schedule. Oh, my body is starting to break down. FX has a lot of shows that are supposed to be good. I haven't had the chance to watch them yet. Justified, The Shield, and The Americans. Uh, I can vouch for The Shield. The Shield is fantastic. You know, on TV where there's a lot of really generic cop shows that are uninteresting, and The Shield is a fantastic. I think it was 7 season show. Um, really great. Strong serialized storytelling. Um, really good. In many ways, I kind of view it as like a precursor to Breaking Bad, in that you're following a character who's not a. Nah, Shield was FX for sure. The Shield was an FX show. Um, you're following a character who's not likable. You're following a character who's kind of the villain, who's a bad guy, but you're kind of rooting for him. Yeah, Michael Chiklis. No, Shield was definitely FX. I can vouch for that. But I know you love reviewing Terminator 1 and 2, but I can't wait for you and Tara to get to Genesis. Oh, I know. And you've not spelled Genesis properly, Cindy. There's no Y in your Genesis. You've spelled that properly, not the stupid way. Oh, I am going to be so angry during that review. So angry. I hate that I've already covered the good ones. I hate that next time I talk about one, it's going to be Terminator 3. And Terminator 3 is like the lesser evil, because then it's Salvation and then it's Genesis. Oh, I'm not happy, man. Not happy, man. I shan't reveal any specifics about my Salvation opinions. Yeah, it was FX. I guess that makes sense, since I remember when it came out, it was getting publicity because there were curse words on it, and at the time that was groundbreaking. Yeah, they said shit and stuff. It was kind of that weird in between thing where it wasn't as extreme as HBO, but it was way more extreme than Network. In fact, I forgot to talk about that in the last Legion review I did, when the timey wimey stuff was happening. There was a clip from the Shield that reversed, which obviously was also an FX show, so that's why they used the Shield. Very random though. Obviously, Legion likes to be quirky. Oh, need to shift ass cheek. Very important. Always remember to shift your arse cheeks. It's the best advice I can give you. I don't have a lot of advice to give you, but that's one of the pieces of advice I'll give you. Okay. Okay. I'm going to stop playing with those scissors. I have this bad habit wherever I'm sitting here that sometimes I'll just grab my scissors that I've got here and I'll just start swinging them around. They're very blunt, so I mean, I'm not really worried about anything happening, but still seems like poor practice. And if there's any young people watching, I don't want to be giving them bad ideas. Speaking of FX, they cancelled their streaming service now that they're owned by Disney. Yeah, I saw that. It makes sense. They're just going to put all their stuff on the Disney or Hulu service. I think it was Hulu specifically in this case because all the stuff that's over PG-13 goes to Hulu. All the stuff that's under or PG-13 or under goes to Disney Plus. Give or take. Makes some sense. Wouldn't shock me if they end up doing some sort of package with both Disney Plus and Hulu, which kind of like would theoretically compete with Warner's HBO Max, since that seemingly has everything, age range wise. Oh, pardon me. Not that you had heard anything there, but I had like kind of a silent hiccup. What, I'd be doing any Connor illnesses or anything like that, do I? How many chronic hiccups? Oh, yeah. So on Ace, actually, you've got Mothra. Well, Captive State's just went up for Patreon, so that's next week for everyone. After that's Mothra, and then after that's Terminator 2. That is the schedule of the next few episodes. Which I'm telling you because I'm pretty sure I said on Captive State that Terminator 2 was coming after Mothra, so I might as well just be honest about it. The information's out there in the wild. What's after Terminator 2? I don't think I remembered to tell them what was coming after Terminator 2 at the end of that episode. Didn't you do Mothra already? Nope, never did. Cable got flack because it was too expensive, but now you need 10 streaming services to get everything and end up spending the same amount of money. Yeah, I mean, that's assuming you want everything, though. I feel like, at least with the streaming services now, you can kind of like swap around. So you can maybe just have 2 or 3 at a time and just like swap which ones you've got, assuming some of them aren't ones you need all the time. But you're right. I mean, it's oversaturated now. So now you have to kind of pick and choose a bit more. Does anyone know if the Shield is available on Amazon? Oh, I can't remember. I'd have to check. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I want everything. I don't need everything. I mean, like I should theoretically always want Shudder because I love horror movies, but you know the actual like bringing in of content so slow on it that it just doesn't have enough to keep me going. Whereas Netflix, I've had for ages now because Netflix is constantly just pumping out original shows at me that we at least try, if not end up watching all of. Amazon's getting there in terms of Prime. What's weird about the other ones is that you get into this weird place where, okay, Warner's and Disney have a huge library each, and they'll have tons of stuff in their back catalog, which is great for just a casual watching. What worries me about all these streaming services is that we're going to lose like some of the niche films that will never end up on any of those. Like one of the reasons why I still kind of want to go back to buying Blu-rays is stuff like, oh, this weird horror movie that's obscure, but this little label did a nice little disc of it because you can't get it any other way, and I would love it. Shield is on Amazon. It's $18 per season. It's not a great price. It's not a terrible price. It's quality's good. So HBO shows on Amazon tend to be priced really high. Other ones often will go down in price over time a little bit. Who knows? Maybe they'll make deals to do packages where you get multiple streaming services together. Maybe that'll become a thing, which makes it a lot more like cable. But at least you get to pick and choose a little bit more, which I kind of like. What's funny is that I know people got really upset when Netflix started to like lose a lot of content because all these other streaming services are starting up. But I never really used Netflix that much for like movies that, just random movies. Netflix for me has always been about the original content. That's true. Cable does have that added benefit, is that it's got its own connection, so you don't lose it. Um, that is a very fair, valid point. Um, However, I have somehow survived without cable for years now at this point. I have HBO Go for all their shows. Um, yeah, yeah, it makes sense. And I think Max is only gonna be a couple of dollars more, and you get more originals from that. So I have Charter, so I get HBO and Showtime. Oh, my leg. It's just about choosing what you want, I guess. I don't think there was ever going to be one streaming service that just had everything. As convenient as that would be. But then it's kind of helped me music, I suppose. I have cable with HBO, Showtime, and the movie channel, Amazon Prime, and Netflix. I don't have Hulu. Yeah, that's still quite a lot. Hulu's a seasonal thing. I only bother with Hulu when there's something specific to review on it. I watched a lot of series on Netflix, including the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and Firefly for the first time. Um, yeah, that's cool. I know Buffy's on Prime here, but it's the bastardized HD versions. What's funny though is you can't buy the HD versions. If you're going to buy it, you have to buy the SD versions, which is a good thing because the SD versions are the proper ones. I ain't watching those bastardized HD versions. Can't be having it. I just will not stand for it in any way, shape, or form. We're actually over 2 hours. You're in bonus time now. Hulu is good if you watch network shows, but they've started to get some interesting movies on there recently. What was the difference between the HD and SD aside from visual quality? On Buffy, well, on Buffy, there's a lot of problems with it. One is that the image quality is not really that good because they've used excessive DNR, which is digital noise reduction, which makes everything look very waxy and actually takes away detail. They do this thing where they know some people will mistake grain for like noisy picture and they will try and remove it with a digital scrubber that's just kind of automatic and it just smooths it. People end up looking like wax dolls. It's really unnatural looking. There was a really bad Predator Blu-ray that did that as well. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the framing. They have turned it to 16 by 9, but their method for doing so varies wildly throughout, and they crop in things too tight. There's some shots where they actually make it wider, and there's like crew or like rigs and lighting rigs at the side that you can see. Either way, they've completely ruined the framing for a lot of the shots. What used to be a medium close up is now a close up, completely changing the intent of the shot. The color timing is different, so scenes that were supposed to have a moody, like dark feel are now bright light. things that were supposed to have like an orange sunset tint now just look like they're in the middle of the day. So again, the intent of a lot of scenes is gone. And what's really weird about the framing actually and the cropping is that seasons 4 through 7 I've always had a widescreen version. The European DVD for seasons 4 through 7 were actually always in 16:9 because they were shot 16:9 safe from season 4 onwards, even though Joss Whedon's preferred ratio for those was 4:3. So 16:9 versions exist that are pretty decent. I mean, you can debate that they still shouldn't exist because that's not the preferred version of the creator, but they do exist, and they were, I've seen those versions and they've always looked fine, right? There's some dead air at the sides, but they're solid enough. For some reason, on the HD seasons 4 through 7, despite the fact that there's 16:9 versions they can use, they've actually still cropped into the 4:3 instead. So I've seen comparisons online where you've got the real 16:9, which is, like a wide shot, and then you've got the HD 16:9, and it's this zoomed in part of the picture, and it looks like absolute shit, both in terms of framing, in terms of quality. It's shockingly bad. It is a complete travesty. To the point where at one point Netflix in the US switched to the HD versions, and Buffy fans basically harassed them enough that they replaced it again with the SD version, because it's still the way to watch the show, because it's still the correct intention of the creator. And while obviously we'd love like proper HD remasters like Star Trek Next Gen got, it's not had it yet. Hopefully when the reboot hits, maybe they'll put some work into it and actually make a proper remaster. Because Buffy and Angel deserve it. They absolutely do. I have Netflix. Thanks for seeing Battlestar Galactica and Fringe and plenty of others. You have Netflix to thank, sorry, yeah. I don't know what I've got Netflix to thank. I think I watched Breaking Bad for the first time on Netflix when I was catching up. So I guess I've got that to thank for Breaking Bad. I can't lie, you just gave an amazing and direct response to my question. It reminds me of movies shown on syndicated TV that have been reformatted and sized and excentric. Yeah, pan and scan was always a pain. But once I kind of got a little bit older and learned about these things, like I used to hate like pan and scan with a passion. What was really weird actually is TV shifted to 16:9, and that was cool. The movie channels started showing movies in the proper aspect ratio. But some of the broadcast networks had this thing where they didn't like black bars, so movies that were in 2:35:1 would actually get cropped to 16:9, which was infuriating because they didn't even pan it. They just sort of did an auto thing where it was the middle. And I remember like seeing movies that were being broadcast cropped to 16:9, which obviously for some movies was more or less their ratio, because 1:85 is not that different. But for 2:35:1 movies, you'd have shots where characters were on either side of the screen, and you'd only see half of each of the person, each of the people on either side, and it would just look really weird, and just no thought went into it. I think that's died out a little bit over. That said, I don't really watch a lot of broadcast TV anymore, so I don't really see what movies look like now. But nah, widescreen. Or not even widescreen specifically, just original aspect ratios for the win. Sometimes instead of just taking the middle, they will rock to the side very slowly. Yeah, they never did that on these broadcast versions for 16:9, but that was definitely very common in the 4:3 era. They kind of had to, because 4:3 from 2.35:1 is literally half the frame. So it's really weird, because you get this unintended move that the director never wanted. So, I mean, that's just going into why pan and scan is the devil, and why no one should ever touch it. And why people who zoom in their TVs to get rid of black bars are also the worst. Not very good for sunsets on the beach scene. No. Well, because typically when you're framing a shot, especially when it's that wide, on a sunset scene, it would be a character's off to the side, and you'd have the sunset taking up the other part of the frame. Not clicked on my thing. Oh, dear. Yeah, I hate pan and scan. If you're a patron, and I think you are, Red Boy, right? You can go and check out the old 121 extra where I talked about aspect ratios for 2 hours, and Connor sat and listened to my history lesson. I talked about where they came from and so on and so on. I was assuming the new Battlestar, but maybe it means the classic one. I like the new one. I'm proud of that video. I had little diagrams of all the screen sizes. We stopped doing that specific show. We changed it to Mild Fuzz Mysteries, but is that the one you had to record twice? It is actually, yeah. We wasted 2 hours in the first take and then found out it was unusable. That was maddening. That was absolutely maddening. Which was really weird because the second time I was doing all my lesson again, but Connor had heard it already, so he knew everything I was saying. Oh. Oh dear. Yeah. I always forget Sci-Fi did Battlestar. It's so weird because Sci-Fi for a long time have been kind of like the makers of shit, and then they eventually did the Expanse, and they lost a lot of goodwill by canceling it. But every so often, Sci-Fi will do something interesting. That must have been torture for him. Well, I don't care, basically. Yeah, we're due a mysteries actually. We'll hopefully squeeze it in, and that's one thing that not doing television for the multiverse should hopefully help. Is that even if we do lose a night somewhere, we won't have to cannibalize those extra things that usually get shafted. So we try and stay caught up in things. Oh, Firefly's feeling the heat. He's he's jumped out of the floor and sprawled out as much as he can. Yeah, I think the history aspect ratios is quite interesting, honestly. Is there going to be another season of that sci-fi series that I forget the name, but Rutger Hauer was in the last season? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what show that is. What was he in? Did you stop watching Krypton mid-season? I've not watched this week's or last week's yet. I've not necessarily stopped watching it though, because I do like Krypton. I should hopefully see the rest of the season. Swamp Thing, I'm not finishing. I'm good. Oh, Channel Zero. He was in season 2 of that. I want to say, or was that season 3? No, it was season 3. Oh, cats are waking up. Wesker's up now too. He's like, oh, my brother's up. I'm going to come over and sniff him. Yeah, the staircase one was the one with Rutger Hauer. I wasn't a fan of that season. The first season with the TV show I enjoyed, and the second one with the No End House, I kind of enjoyed that one as well. I never actually got to see season 4. We were too busy at the time when it launched, and I think they might have put it all out in one go, like a binge show, which made it really hard to cover, given that we were really busy at the time. I feel that that's what happened, but I can't. Trial Zero already got cancelled though. It had 4 seasons and then got cancelled. Which is the original question: is there going to be more of it? The answer is no. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I could have watched the movie tonight. Instead, I chose to hang out with you guys. I've got Under the Silver Lake. It's accessible, so we'll try and watch that soon. Don't know if I'll have time tomorrow, but I'll try. I have 3 movies to watch for streams this weekend, so I may have to watch one of those instead. I felt like each season had a decent first half, and then once the gimmick was revealed, it was underwhelmed for the second half. I can see that. Cause You Love Us. You're alright. You're alright. And that's Wesker also lying on the floor now. I think they both just wanted the cold floor. Oh, take my hand, take my whole life too, 'cause I can't help falling in love with you. Yeah, I guess you're okay too. Thanks, William. Rude Boy, is Westworld worth getting into? I would say so. Some people think it gets a little bit too up its own arse with the mysteries. I love the mysteries in Westworld. It's exactly the sort of over the top mystery show that I love to sit and digest and theorize about. I would say it's one that's probably fun to watch me and Connor talk about after each episode because we just go nuts trying to think about what's actually going on. I think the show does a lot more with it than the movie did, because we reviewed the original movie, and the original movie is so simple. The original movie is basically Jurassic Park with robots. Do 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 do. You're in danger of me singing, guys. If you guys reviewed the series, I'll check it out. Yeah, we reviewed the first 2 seasons. We're looking forward to season 3 next year. It's actually interesting because season 1 had this thing where there was a theory early on that we read online. And a lot of the episodes for a while became like, has this episode put us towards believing the theory or not believing it? It became a very much. I don't want to say it because I don't want to reveal if it did or not. Um, but I enjoy the show. You've got HBO. You can watch it. HBO. In fact, Westworld is one of those shows where it was simulcast, so we tried to watch it live with the US viewing and review it right after, assuming that Cara didn't have to be in work in a silly early time next day. I know people who worked on it, and it was a beast of a show to shoot with multiple full-time units. That makes sense. There's a lot of separate plots where a lot of the characters are split up most of the season, so I totally buy that you could be shooting like scenes from 2 different episodes with 2 different directors at the same time. Because typically they're split into like 3 or 4 pods of characters, and they mostly don't overlap too much over the course of the season. How soon is Watchmen starting? We know it's coming this year. My guess would be after the Deuce, because it feels like it's going to be the big Sunday night show whenever it hits, and the Deuce starts early September and runs for 8 weeks. So my guess would be November, but it's just a guess. Yeah, New Westworld does look interesting and very different from the previous seasons, which is nice. Westworld looks great though. Actually, Westworld, like, it's one of those shows where maybe I'm getting used to it now because there's been a few shows that have looked really cinematic. But I remember watching the first episode of Westworld and being like just impressed with the visuals of all the locations, and like this feels like a big deal. This feels like a big production. Um, I'd say the most cinematic show I've seen was actually there was a miniseries on Netflix like a year and a half ago called Godless. It was a western, and it just felt like a movie the entire time. It was really impressive. Do you think Aaron Paul has been used by Dolores? Oh, I have no idea. I need to get a sense of the characters or who he is and what his relationship is. I heard Westworld had sets burned down with all the wildfire problems in California. It did, yeah, last year or earlier this year, whenever that happened. Or was it between season 1 and 2? It definitely happened. I know what set it was like in terms of the show, the context of the show. I know what set it was. It was like a church set, in the surrounding area. If you've seen the show, you'll know what that was. Hey, Wesker, you want out? Meow, meow. I can tell the cats are just a little bit miserable with the heat because they're just not um being as vocal. Because my cats will be pretty vocal when the occasion calls for it. All right, Wesker. Wesker and Firefly have vacated the room. I vaguely recall seeing the Watchmen movie and not liking it, and a character who wore a sack on his face and a face in the sack that moved around like a visual effect of ink blots moving. That was a weird choice, like, because Rorschach is a pretty interesting character. The choice to have his ink blot constantly move around was really weird to me. I'd forgotten that until you mentioned it, actually. Like I never like in the comics, I'm pretty sure it just looks the same the whole time. I'm not sure why they did that. Very strange. Very strange, everybody. Very strange. Very strange. Yeah, what's going up tomorrow? Boys is going up tomorrow. Hammy's Tale's obviously going up tomorrow. Is there anything else to put up? I don't think so. In that case, I'm glad we get recording done tonight because otherwise tomorrow would be very quiet. And I remember that Jackie Earl Haley and Billy Caldrop were in it, but I have a zero recollection of the story. I mean, I reread Watchmen last year, so my memory of the story is fairly decent at this point. Um, the movie did change some stuff about the ending. The longer cut of Watchmen I liked a bit more than the one in theaters. I think I bought the longer cut and tried to watch it and just kind of got. I wasn't in the mood to like sit through it, and I guess it's just. I feel like it was okay on the first viewing, but the problem with the Watchmen movie is that it's lacking a lot of the depth of the comic because it's Zack Snyder and he has no depth. So it's hard to kind of sit through a movie that's that long a second time when it doesn't really have much meat to it, which is weird because the comic is so dense. just just odd. Well, that's what I was typing in earlier when I was trying to type before. The filter button on YouTube. I forgot Snyder did that movie. Oh yeah. I also dislike the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'd never seen that. Um, I didn't like the look of it. I think most people didn't like that. I don't remember the reviews being good. That's the death of the old knight. Oh well, yes, it's shallow compared to the comic. Oh, it absolutely is. I like Lindelof, so I'm definitely giving the show a chance. Yeah, I mean, I do too. In terms of TV, Lindelof's got a pretty good track record for me. I like Lost a lot. I like Leftovers a lot. So I will happily give the show a fair shake. Happily. Oh man, Watchmen. The Watchmen movie's 10 years old. Oh my god. I'm really starting to feel old. Like, there's so many things that are 10 years old where I was already an adult, and it's making me feel really ancient. District 9, Moon, the Star Trek J.J. Abrams movie, they're all 10 years old now. That is insane. Absolutely insane. Avatar's 10 years old. How time flies when you get closer to death. I kid, I kid. I kid, I kid. Oh, how many dislikes are on Alita now? Only 3, that's not too bad. Some people will be really upset that I was not super positive on it. And they really wanted to let me know about it. Which is fine. I mean, whatever. I'm just not used to getting the level of essay that one or two of the comments were. Which, in all honesty, if someone comments something that's like a super long like essay, it's kind of like, well, unless you hook me with the first couple of lines, the chances are I'm not going to read the whole thing. Not enough time in the day. Sean Connery does play a great Spaniard with a Scottish accent in another classic film. My name is Ramirez, and I'm a Spaniard. That's like one of the first lines of dialogue he has in that movie. And it's deeply upsetting and ironic because all the Scottish characters in that movie do not have Scottish accents. And then Sean Connery shows up and says, My name is Ramirez, and I am a Spaniard. And then later on, he's like, I was lying. I'm not really a Spaniard. I'm an Egyptian. How's that impression? Does that sound remotely like Sean Connery? It might do to American ears. I don't think I sound like Sean Connery. There's the old Sean Connery joke. What time do you want to meet tomorrow? 10ish. 10ish? I don't even have a racket. It's pretty good. Eh. There can only be one Highlander. You forgot about that line. Oh. Highlander's not a good movie, but it is an entertaining movie. I can watch some Highlander, but it is definitely like got a lot of goofy 80s shit about it. So it doesn't hold up. I've not watched it in a long time, but I remember the first time I watched it thinking it was a really like sort of messy 80s movie, but I had fun with it. Got a good soundtrack, you know. But the fact that none of the Scottish characters actually have real Scottish accents, or even good fake Scottish accents, is a problem. Very frustrating as a Scottish person. Oh yeah, all the sequels are terrible. I've not even seen it. I've seen clips of them. I've never actually seen any of them all the way through, but they look immensely dire. Immensely. I'm surprised there's still this many people here for the stream. I wonder if I've gone full circle and there's some people in the UK waking up and being like, hey, stream's on. A lot of cool driving shots at night. Yeah, that's fair. Plus, the villains. Oh, who's the villain again? What's his face? Clancy Brown? Why say Clancy Brown's the villain? Highlander reboot with Keanu. Oh god. You're fine to stay awake right now. You can go to bed, Renegade. You don't have to wait up until I'm done. You're under no obligation. That said, it's only like what, 10:40 for you? As cheesy 80s as Highlander was, he had a great tone. Yes, Clancy. Yeah, it's Clancy Brown. Yeah. Just getting it right in my head. I like Clancy Brown. He's got a fun presence. I think I'm eating a little snack before I go to bed. I only really had the one big meal today. I've been up for 30 hours. And that Renegade, go to bed then. Jesus. Go to bed. You've had a pretty big day. Go to bed. That's right, he's Lex Luthor in a lot of the cartoons, you're right. He was on Lost. He was in that movie Blue Steel that me and Car did not too long ago. We're not gonna take it. No, we're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. That's my thrilling rendition of We're Not Gonna Take It by Twisted Sister. No worries, Renegade. You have a good night. Renegade is the destinant of the Steve. If you die, I die. uh, sure. Weirdest crossover, Bones and Sleepy Hollow. Yeah, I didn't see past the first episode of Sleepy Hollow. I've never seen Bones at all, so I can't really attest to it. But yeah, I worked with him once. He was in good spirits, not an evil headhunter. Clancy Brown, you talking about? Um, that's cool. Cool. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. Do 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 do. Okay, I'm done. This is what happens with Late Night Peter: is I get loopy and start singing songs. For better or worse, mostly worse. This is how it operates. As you're getting with me. Maybe I should do a new thing where I won't stop singing unless you do super chats. It's a flawed plan because you could just leave the stream admittedly, but for some reason I'm going to pretend you're trapped here, and you have to pay me to stop singing. It's the reverse of busking. It's the opposite. The song holds up as smart wordplay compared to most stuff today. I mean, yeah, it's a fun song. I remember enjoying it in my youth. It's the sort of thing that I never find myself putting on, but every so often it'll pop into my head. And you'll get the chorus out of me. Which I'm hoping is more or less right. I'm pretty notorious for getting song lyrics just a little bit wrong. Tara really likes to tease me for it, especially. But I think I'm on point with that one. I think so. I've put it on a lot while on my like 5 mix drink. Do 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 do. Yeah. All right. Was anyone want to talk about anything? It's late. I'm all out of topics. Give you a couple more before I call it a night and head off and have a snack. Watch something dumb on YouTube or something before I. The booze makes me bias. Oh dear. Oh dear. Every put the 3 scariest childhood movies that scared them, or everyone. Okay, that makes more sense. 3 childhood movies that scared me. Well, I was 10 when Blair Witch Project came out. That seemed pretty scary at 10. I don't know. I don't have a lot of movies that scared me. I guess I was just born a horror veteran. I didn't get hit too hard. I was just into it. My parents were probably worried I was going to be a serial killer because I love watching slasher movies. With the stabby and the blood squirting. I know for sure that the suicide scene in The Omen messed you up. I don't think I saw that until I was a teenager, so I don't think it, it was effective, but I don't think it like hit me hard or anything like that. Failsafe and Doctor Strangelove both scared me. Probably, I assume this was during the Cold War when you were actually terrified of nuclear fallout. Oh. Nightmare on Elm Street was a horrible one to watch as a kid. I was fairly young when I saw it, I think. For some reason, in my memory, whenever someone asks me when did I start watching horror movies, I always say like 10, 11. But when I actually think about it, I think it was more like 8 or 9. Maybe even 8, because I remember watching Scream, which might have even been my first horror movie properly, when it hit the movie channels, which had to have been about a year after it came out. So that would have been 8. Yeah, I think so. It's changed now, but I remember back in the day, it used to be about a year before it was on the movie channels on cable, and then it'd be another year before it maybe be available for network. 11 North Korea's first target. That's a fair point. Bathroom scene in the baboon scene in the Omen, rather, not the bathroom scene. The trailer for The Shining gave me nightmares when Jack had the axe and says, "Here's Johnny." Um, I also don't remember getting scared that much. It's weird. I remember being more tense watching movies for the first time at that age, but not like, you know, as a little kid, the horse drowning never ending story was pretty terrible. I used to hate that. I wasn't scared of it though. It was more of a just like evil kind of like depression, if that makes sense. But yeah, I remember taping tons of horror movies off TV. Which means it had to be younger because I started buying DVDs around 11, 12. Definitely by 12, yeah. 2001 I was buying DVDs for sure. Was I? Was that 2002? I don't know. There was a few years of horror watching where it was all just movies that I was taping off TV. For those of you old enough to remember a VHS tape. There are now adults who, when they were born, their parents had already gotten rid of VHS. Oh, my. I was afraid of the dark as a kid, so all the horror movies were tough for me, even though I've always loved them. Yeah, you're a big Screams fan, so I assume you were a big horror fan for a while. Yeah, Dark never did it. Dark never bothered me that much. I was always just kind of intrigued by the Dark more than scared of it. How much would it cost to get you to keep reviewing Flash? Oh, wait, on my own? I don't think I can do it with Connor. Connor's out. I mean, we don't have a tier in Patreon for just you can will review this show, or one of us will review this show for a price. I mean, I've never considered it, but I mean, I feel on the spot here. I don't know what. I mean, a comic book once a month is $30. So to keep the value in the right place, we don't have a movie like that. Um, and play the cleaned out the writers' room. Yeah, I know what you mean. Um, I don't know. I don't know, Bob. It's not a terrible suggestion. Like, I'll do it. I'll do it on my own for I don't know, 4 episodes a month. Here's the thing about the movie one, Cindy, is I don't know what to charge for it. And it would probably have to be something that's just me, so that it's not taking up slots of recording with other people. So, and it'd have to be a limit, and it'd be weird to have like 4 people. Um, you know, so I don't know what to charge for it. I mean, Cindy, you're already a $35 patron. You're already a pretty hefty level. Um, but the thing is, though, is that if I'm charging $30 for a comic a month, yeah, 100 might be reasonable if anyone's insane enough to pay it. And if you're that if you really want me to watch a Tyler Perry movie, um, that makes sense. I guess the point is it has to be high so that people don't just fill up the slots immediately, and that they're willing to just kind of opt in and out of it and go back down to a lower tier. I wish Patreon did a thing where you could just sell like a one-time thing. Like, I wish that you could just state your tier, but if you wanted to just buy a movie like that for 1 month, it wouldn't have to be another tier. It could just be you can buy a movie option for $100, and that'd be it. Um, but sure, 100. For $100, I will watch a movie of your choosing and review it. For a TV show, I know TV show's weird because obviously it's not on all year. Is the weird thing. I suppose I could just review something else you're choosing it in the meantime when it's not there. Um, I mean, it's 4 episodes, but obviously a movie's just one movie, but obviously the episodes are shorter. So, Bob, what do you think's a fair price? But given everything we just said, Bob, what do you think's a fair price? um, Cannot stand the Medea as a person. Not a likable character. Yeah, I'm dreading the thought of a Medea movie. I have never seen a Tyler Perry movie. I want no part of it. 50 a season. Um, it couldn't be per season, Bob, because it would be monthly. Unless you're not talking about Patreon, unless you're talking about just, I don't know, donating via PayPal, which is, I mean, oh, weird actually. No one's ever suggested that before. You'd get more benefits on Patreon though, because there's a lot of other stuff that you'd get automatically that's underneath it. I'll say this: there's definitely no chance of TV multiverse happening with me and Connor. Like it would have to be. You mean like how Cindy sponsors the Legion reviews? Well, that's the $10 tier on Patreon. But it doesn't guarantee. I guess if it's something I don't really want to do. Admittedly, I'm not like opposed to doing the Flash if someone wants to sponsor it. I mean, maybe something we should do with that tier actually is if you are a $20 patron, maybe you should get the right to sponsor two shows, even if that's not. Like maybe that's something I can add to the $20 Patreon tier to say you can sponsor a second TV show, maybe. Maybe not any more than that though, because then the people who are up at 50 get to sponsor 5 shows, which is kind of weird. But sure, Bob. You know what? You made a point, Bob. If you want to be a patron at the $10 tier and sponsor Flash, I'll review Flash. $10 a month. That's what it'll cost. Told me watch Peter review shows he's enthusiastic about. I mean, I'm enthusiastic in my hatred of Flash. And to be fair, Rude Boy, I am planning on still kind of watching it. Uh, Probably more casually, just kind of on while I'm doing stuff or whatever. But um, hey, I can fit it in. If people, the whole point of that $10 tier is to be able to kind of save things like that. So um, it's up to you, Bob. But if you want to sponsor um Flash, I'll review Flash. Um, but yeah, I'm not touching Swamp Thing though. I'm done. Flash was so jaw-droppingly stupid this season. Oh, it was. It really was. I mean, it was so funny. It was bad. Or it was so bad. It was funny at times, at least. But yeah, once we get past the first episode of a series, it really has to be more about analysis of the story than a review of the show. Oh no, it absolutely does. Which partly is one of the reasons why we one of the factors that lean towards us canceling TV multiverse is that we don't necessarily have a ton to say about all of them every time. Um, it's more about just reacting to what it's doing now, and sometimes that's really stupid. Sometimes it's just really fun stuff at Legends, and we'll like review kind of what it's doing well compared to what it's done before and things like that. But there's not much analysis on those CW shows. Of course, there isn't. They're just not as deep as the other stuff we do. And the other stuff we do is more interesting to talk about. It absolutely is. You do you think we'll review the Batwoman pilot? Oh, we will. I mean, me and Connor will both review that. We knew we were going to do that. But yeah. I mean, hell, maybe that's a good way for me to pimp out Patreon is to say that if you want solo reviews of any of the shows from me, you can kind of keep them alive with the $10 tier. It feels a bit scummy to do that because it's like, hey, go and pay for it if you want it, but it's an incentive for us. I mean, it's an incentive for me to like take the time to do it. And get us closer to that streams after midnight goal. Like, hey, world from the office. Like, hey, world from the office. Okay. Yes. Like, hey, world. Yes. Hey, world. Oh, man. What a. what a concept. That was such a weird thing when they introduced it that it actually almost caught me off guard, and I was like, I don't know if I like this. But then by the time they actually got to building it, I was like, okay, sure. What would it cost to get you to give The Sopranos a chance? Well, it's funny you say that, William, because when we're done with Firefly, we'll be putting a vote up also for the $10 patrons between 4 shows to do next as an already cancelled. So there'll be a vote of 4 shows, and we are accepting suggestions. We'll pick what the 4 are ultimately to put on the thing. But Sopranos and 6 Feet Under are 2 of the obvious picks that people are suggesting a lot. I was trying to convince Connor to put Buffy on the vote, but he's adamant that we can't because I'm doing commentaries for Patreon. But you know, the whole idea of the $10 Patreon slot is for people to keep shows alive that they want, to vote on already cancelled, which won't happen that often because we have to finish the previous one, assuming we don't hate it. And get to sponsor shows, which helps keep things alive and show support. Now, right now, there's few enough of $10 patrons that basically anything, unless like I am adamant that I hate something and don't want to talk about it and watch it, we'll do it if someone's sponsoring it, or I'll do it at least. Obviously, if we get a lot of $10 patrons, eventually there'll be so many that it'll have to become more almost like a voting system where, okay, so there's tons with 1 sponsors, but there's like 5 shows that have 2 or 3 sponsors. The 5 with 2 or 3 are the ones that will get done. That'll be saved, if that makes sense. But right now, that's not a concern. Right now, I can do whatever. Yeah, 6 Feet Under the Sopranos were the obvious picks. The Wire's a solid pick, although I've seen that before. The Shield's a solid pick. I would love to do Fringe someday, because I love that show. One has to admit that there were a few seasons within the series that were weak. Overall, it was an entertaining series with the ending that I won't spoil because it spoils by itself. 6 Feet Under, that is. I would love to hear your opinion on the way it talks about death. Yeah, I mean, the 6 Feet Under is one of those shows that gets brought up a lot for us to do at some point. Letting a cat in. What is up, Firefly? Oh. Hell, I mean, if enough, let's say like a few people sponsor different CW shows for me to do on my own. If most of them get sponsored, I might as well just do television from the multiverse solo. Actually, no, maybe not. And the reason why I wouldn't is because if I'm doing it myself, I can get to them a bit quicker than waiting for Connor. Because part of the reason why we did it as a podcast is because it was really hard to fit all the recordings in throughout the week. On top of the other stuff we do. It would actually maybe get more eyes on them if I did them a bit quicker after each episode aired. As quick as I could, at least. Which might not be super quick, but quicker than it was, but waiting for the the end of the podcast week, as it were. There's a cartoon that has Trump in it, and he says, "Grab him by the puppy." It's called Queen Corgi. Oh, very good. Sopranos, the ending, in my opinion, is not great, but the journey there is good, minus a few seasons that are underwhelming. The great seasons are truly great. Yeah, Surprise is one of those ones where I've never gotten around to trying it because I'm not typically huge on gangster stuff, even though I think the premise of that does sound kind of interesting. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what people vote for. We got a new patron today, actually, who was in the chat earlier, Margaret, who will be able to vote on these things as well. So the voters are ticking up a little bit for the $10 section. In fact, there'll be a new name at the end of the videos starting tomorrow, which was exciting. Oh, damn Firefly! Damn Firefly! You need a sound effect for when you hurl the cat. What, you mean like classic cat thingy? Oh, and this camera's probably too. No, it's not too bad actually. Yeah, had worse framing. And my head's not that sweaty. So sometimes my head gets really shiny and sweaty. You know what, Bob? I'll put another post up, mentioning that $10 patrons could save some of the DC shows if they want to. Just in case anyone's actually interested in doing that, because there was a few people who seemed a little bit upset by it. And I'll tell you what, like, if at least one of the CW shows is being sponsored, so I'm reviewing them on my own, I will do all of Crisis. As long as I'm doing at least one of the shows, I'll do all of Crisis. Surprise had a cast member die from old age and one step away due to family issues. They were not able to do all they planned. Is there going to be another season of Salt? There is. It's coming next year, early next year. Season 5. And I think I heard them talk about thinking about season 6. So obviously Breaking Bad had 5 seasons, so a lot of people thought Saul might be the same. But it is worth mentioning that Breaking Bad had more episodes per season, outside of season 1, which was cut by the writer's strike. So a 6th season to bring it up to 60 episodes might actually be just the right amount, depending on what they're doing with season 5. I love Saul though. Saul's great. Been so long. Been so long. Hold on, put this over here. Oh, come on. YouTube's new backend is full of glitchy effects. It's annoying. I wonder what Vince will do after Saul ends. Well, he's doing the Breaking Bad movie right now as well, actually, with Jesse, which I'm also looking forward to. Which is probably maybe why Saul season 6 or 5 is taking a bit longer. I don't know. I'll follow him wherever he goes, though, because Breaking Bad and Saul have been fantastic. Netflix only carries the first 3 seasons of Saul. That is not true internationally, because at least in the UK, Netflix have the international rights to it. So, Better Call Saul is actually branded as a Netflix show here, and it goes up within about 7 hours of airing in the US, which is really handy, might I add. Breaking Bad's all on Netflix as well, actually. And I bought all those seasons in Blu-ray, and Blu-ray is better, like it's higher quality, but like I didn't really need to. Where was that going? That's where I was going. Oh, hey, look, the live stream's still on, which I know because I'm on it. Funny how that works. Okay, a lot of likes on that announcement, which is weird. I wonder if the 24 likes is that like people are happy that we're not doing it anymore, or is it just they're happy with our decision to prioritize other content? I don't know. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'll type that uh, thing after we're done. But if people really want to save it, they can do so to an extent. Can't save it with Connor though. Um, the main reason why we're doing it is because we need that extra day of recording for other stuff to try and keep. Because one of the things we're going to try and do is starting with Mindhunter, with Netflix and Amazon shows, assuming there's not two at the same time, admittedly. We're going to try and do our best to try and actually hit more like one per day instead of every other day and get through them quicker, because the numbers are better the quicker you do them, and it's so we're not finishing a season of a show like 2.5 weeks after it came out, and keep the interest peaked a little bit. So we may not always be able to do it. We may have to skip a day here or there, depending on a busy day of recording because there's two other shows that are weekly or something like that. But we're going to try and start doing that. And DC, the television for the multiverse rather, not being a thing on a Thursday anymore is a big help with that. In order to try and do that, because the Netflix audio feeds especially is is really good. It does really well actually. You haven't seen season 4 yet? Oh, that sucks. Season 4 is great. It wasn't the same highs as season 3. Season 3 is definitely the most dramatic season, but season 4 has a lot of good stuff in it. A bit more downbeat than the previous season because it's kind of the aftermath of everything that happened. But finale was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Bum 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 ba-dum. I love how I started this late stream 2 hours later than I normally do, and it's went on way longer. We're over 3 hours now. This is madness. But for some reason, I just keep talking. I don't know why. We have dropped a few people though. Obviously, it's getting late. It's getting late for some people. The East Coasters have lately been dropping, which is fair. Which is fair. Ain't no complaining. There's one moment that Pete and Connor hated in season 4. There's one moment. There's one scene that we didn't like, and we called it out. We called it out for what it was. But given that the show has been 4 seasons and only pulled that shit once, I can't complain that much overall. But they stuck out. I'm not in sync with your voice anymore. Really? Probably just refresh the stream, Bob. That should fix it. I think that should fix it. Has anyone else got me out of sync, or is it just Bob? If it's just Bob, it's probably just a refresh he needs. You're in sync. I don't say that. That hurts. I want to be in sync. Silly pop group from the 90s. Not like a 70s kung fu movie. Oh, very good. Oh yeah, the prequelitis scene. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's you know exactly the scene I'm talking about. You know. Otherwise, real good. It was so weird seeing Tuco in Curse of La Llorona, actually. It was so weird seeing him as this shaman, like, ex-priest dude. And not as, like, a, scary, gruff gangster who might shoot me. Very different role. Very different role. And he wasn't very good in that movie either. And I don't know if that's just the direction or if he's just not good at certain types of characters, but he wasn't quite working, which is a shame. Did you see Kung Pao Enter the Fist? I have not seen Kung Pao Enter the Fist. I'm going to go on a limb and say that's a 70s Kung Fu movie. I don't think I've seen many 70s Kung Fu movies. I think it's a genre that I've not delved into quite in the same way. Do 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 do. It's a comedy starring director of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 2. Okay, it's not, so it's not a 70s kung fu movie then, is it? Or unless actually that might be, I suppose, because it might be earlier in his career, because he's much older when he got to Ace Ventura. Or is it a 90s comedy? He was memorable doing basically the same character in Training Day before Breaking Bad. I've seen Training Day, but I saw it before, long before Breaking Bad, so I wouldn't have noticed him or remembered his face from it. He took a 70s kung fu movie, added himself into it with added scenes, and then redubbed the entire thing with hilarious dialogue that makes the original scenes seem ridiculous. Oh, interesting. Okay. Sounds like a fun experiment. It could probably very easily get racist, but I'll take the. I'll assume that it isn't. I think I would worry where the comedy could go in such a. Do 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 do. It was a theatrical release that sort of had a cult following. Hmm. Yeah, I've never actually heard of it. It's it's funny because as well versed as I am in movies, it's amazing. Just every so often, someone will mention something, and I'm like, I've never heard of this thing. um, always try to watch more. I keep track of how many movies I watch a year. Um, I just hit like 118, I think, with what I watched last night. 82 of which are new watches. And I don't mean new movies, just new to me, like first time watches. So, which was the most important number I think out of the two. Rewatches are cool and all, but I mean, I care more about trying to expand my horizons and see more movies. Check out the trailer. I will. I will. Not right now, but I will. Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Because even the name feels a bit of a parody. It's a bit over the top. Do 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 do. No, it's not updated yet. I think The Lighthouse is based on a tale from lore about two people in a lighthouse. One dies in a storm, and the other goes mad after this. I don't know what it's based on. I mean, maybe you may be right. You may be right. Eggers is the kind of director though that like I could totally see this being some crazy concoction that he's come up with. But again, I don't know. Was The Witch based on anything? I'm not sure. I didn't think it was, but I wouldn't be surprised if he turned around and said, "No, it was a book." Oh dear. Dear, 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 dear. Did you ever see that Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he is investigating an asylum? Uh, Shutter Island, I think that was called. I did see that movie, and I actually kind of hated it. I basically just knew how it was going to end in the first 10 minutes, and I didn't really feel like anything that was happening in between that and the ending, like because I knew where it was going, I just didn't really get invested in anything. It was a really rough ride for me. Even though I actually like part of the ending, like after the twist happens, there's a really subtle little character thing that I really liked that felt quite nuanced to me, but I hated most of it. The body of a dead man got stuck in a cliff in the way that looked like he was climbing up a rock face. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, right, okay. The Witch was based on some old Persian tales and stories. Yeah, I can kind of see the Lighthouse being the same thing, where it's based on a bunch of different old folk tales that he's kind of like merged into one story. What's new? New categories? We've updated our category list to include categories from Apple Podcasts. Oh, good. I can get more specific. Let's try it. The books are more ambiguous from what I remember. That sounds about right. Settings. Dashboard. Where do I put in the categories? Oh, here we go. Add category. So Apple Podcast added new categories, and they have film reviews, and that's really cool. Safe. So Screams After Midnight's got a new category, and they've got TV reviews as well. So I can add that to the relevant ones. Oh, what was that? I just did. I did Screams. I'll do Ace. Shutter Island is based on a book. I was disappointed with the ending and would have much preferred the twist not being the twist. Making it meaning it would have been a better film with no twist. Yeah. Um I mean, I hate the twist. I don't hate what it is in the sense that I think that's what the movie should have been the whole time. Um but I hate how goofy it made the whole thing seem. Like all the other characters being in on it was just kind of eh. Add category. Film reviews. Well, there's an after shows category. We can use that too. It's about time Apple added some extra categories to their podcasts. Make it easier to find things for people. Do, 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 do. You can now have up to 3 categories. That's new. You used to only be able to have one, I think. That's that saved. And then we'll do the almost cancelled one as well, because that's also very relevant. Also Star Trek, I suppose. I'll do that as well. Do it afterwards, though. I'm sure this is riveting stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I just noticed that there was a little tab at the top of the podcast thing saying, "Oh, we got new categories." And then after shows, save. The twist was too obvious. I would have much preferred everything and everyone were actually who they were presented as, and the danger was predatory. I don't want to give spoilers. Yeah, I know. I think for me, the most interesting part of the film was the choice he makes after the twist. But it was such a small moment compared to like 2+ hours of whatever I sat through. All right, okay, a little bit of admin work. Beautiful. go. I got to make sure my hand doesn't cramp up. I'm using the mouse too much. I'm moving my hand in a circle and clenching or unclenching. Working at a computer is serious business, guys. You can get all sorts of injuries. I kid. Oh dear. Yes. We should probably wrap up, shouldn't I? Yeah, it's been 3.5 hours. I think this will do it. I should really go to sleep. You also need to watch the movie Running Scared. No joke, Paul Walker's greatest movie. Interesting. I actually liked the movie he was in called Joyride, or also known as Roadkill. That's it. I liked it like 20 years ago when I saw it. Well, 15 years ago. No idea if it holds up if I watch it now, but I liked it at the time when I caught it on TV. Back when I used to catch movies on TV. But yeah, I should probably wrap up. It's like super late, and I should go to sleep. And get up bright and reasonably early tomorrow so I can do all the things that I need to do tomorrow, such as watch Dear White People and do TV news and go for my walk and edit the shows that need to go up tomorrow, and so on. Running Scared is like Pulp Fiction meets Crank. Okay, interesting. Pardon me. See, time to go. Alright, guys. I am going to vacate. I'm going to sleep. You guys have a good sleep. And I will see you for the next stream on Monday, most likely, instead of like a random gaming stream. So I will see you on Monday. Been a pleasure, as always. Love you loads. Thanks for the support and the company. And I will see you guys next time.